fly so far, but I can't lose it.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the AMX ESPORTS Championship once again here on RaceSpotTV. My name is Connery Merrick. I'll be joined by Sumil Arora for the duration of this broadcast. Welcome once again to this absolutely fantastic championship based in South Korea. We'll be heading into the action in the Junior Cup in just a couple of moments' time. But we're sitting here ready and raring to go for the action at Laguna, Seca, and then a little bit later on we'll get Barcelona, Catalonia up on the schedule as well. But it seems like this series does not give us a break, Sumil, when it comes to some frantic action, some crazy finishes, and well, I guess we have to expect the same thing again here today.
Oh, 100%. Laguna Seca was such a good circuit a couple of weeks ago when we had the sim drivers coming right here today. Now it's the turn of the junior drivers, and I can't imagine what it must be like to have the Radical SR8s out here. It's such a technical circuit, and it's for free for only one reason: it can lure everybody into driving on iRacing. I absolutely love it. And the best part is, we actually saw a couple of drivers daring enough to make a move at the corkscrew. Will that be a watching point here today?
I certainly wouldn't be surprised, you know, despite it being one of the most dangerous portions of the circuit. It is
exactly
a pretty considerable overtaking opportunity, so it's really a catch-22 situation there. But before we get into that, of course, we'll have to recap exactly what's happened over the past couple of rounds, because, you know, we've got to say, we say it time and time again, that Mr. Yunho Park certainly the man to beat at the moment, and he has almost been beaten on track on many occasions. Of course, the race wins that he has dropped involve one in the oval race, which is anyone's anyone's win as far as I'm concerned, and also he lost the race win at Okayama due to the incident that he had towards the end of the race. So apart from, as long as he doesn't get hit by anyone out there on circuit, or if there isn't a random element of an oval race, it seems like Yunho Park is just walking away with things.
100%. I think Yunho Park, as I said last time out, will be having a big loudspeaker, if he can, saying, "Move out of the way, lapped car, get out of my way, don't be involved in my incidents," because that is the one thing that's been sort of haunting him a little bit. But is it really haunting him? He still leads the championship as we head to round number 6 at Laguna Seca. Later on, all very much circuits that favour Yunho Park, bar one. Charlotte for the Oval. That is going to be a bit of a fun one to watch out for, as will be today's race, because Laguna Seca wide open in relation to all the other circuits that we've got here today. Many overtaking spots and mostly a very challenging circuit on the throttle all the way out for the Radicals, which is a car, by the way, which is very, very tail happy. I think that is going to be one major talking point today, how much these guys spin out today.
Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be a point of contention here in this one. Track temp relatively toasty at well, I got it in Fahrenheit, 123 degrees Fahrenheit, because that's what iRacing defaults to in my system. But yeah, absolutely a great point there, Sumo. Again, the car control has been an issue sometimes in this series, but I get the feeling we're at the point now where we're past the halfway point of the season, where I think most drivers will be very, very comfortable with how the car handles at this point. But of course, heading into this race here at Laguna Seca, what's the attitude going to be like for those drivers that are, sort of in second, third, fourth, fifth in the championship? So the likes of Junho Zhang, Shin Woo-jin, Hee Jung-an, Sung Yong Kang. What's the goal for them going forward? Because as these races go on, it seems like Yunho just gets further and further away from them.
I think just keep on doing what they have been doing, because in the last few rounds they have in fact gotten much, much closer to Yunho Park than they were at the start. Sung Yong Kang especially, we constantly saw him pressurizing Yunho and being within that 0.2 of a second mark. And that's good enough for now. If you can keep on challenging Yunho Park, if you can keep on knocking in some good lap times in that margin, you can expect some slip-ups to happen. Usually that would be the case. But with Yunho Park, the slip-up has never really happened on his own merit. That has been something so crazy. So I think that consistent development curve has been there. Now, I still think it's a bit doubtful that they will end up catching Yunho Park by the end of the season, but they have been improving. They have been getting much better. I think at the start of the season, the gap was 3-4 odd tenths of a second. Now it's come down to 2, and then maybe we might see 1.5 tenths here today. That's getting a lot better. And I think that's just one thing that can develop a lot more as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think it certainly can. I mean, the whole point of this series is to sort of highlight those young drivers in the South Korean esports scene in sim racing that might not have gotten the opportunity to do this before. Of course, Yunho Park, due to how skilled he is, he has had the opportunity to do this before. But it's good to see where everyone stacks up in relation to him. And of course, some of those esports teams or those sim racing teams in Korea will be looking at this series just thinking, yes, we like the look of this guy, we like the look of Shin Woo-jin, we like the look of Hee Jung-an. And even though they might not be at the top of the game right now, they see the potential development of these drivers in the future to potentially come some of the top sim races in Korea.
100%. We've already seen Yunho Park get a drive for DCT Racing in the main championship, and they are absolutely rocking it in the top 2 right there. It's like they already knew what they're coming into with Yunho Park. And there are so many other drivers as well. I think a couple of other drivers who've also got a drive in the main championship, and that would be Hong Seo-jung and Hee Jung-an. There's a clear indication that step up the ladder is right there. It is existent. 3 drivers have made the step up before the season began. And I can only wonder how many more drivers from this very championship will make their way up into the senior championship when we come around next year. That's going to be a fun factor to watch out for. And it'll be even more rewarding because we've seen so many of them see and carry out their development paths right before our very eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. The future of the Korean sim racing scene seems to be pretty bright at this point, especially if you look at some of the top guys in this series. Like you said, you point out the talent that is Yunho Park, but I think any of these guys, given the right sort of development, given the right sort of support, could really, really get up there and battle it out with some of the top guys. As we're seeing the remnants of practice going on out there here at Laguna Seca for the moment, and of course, this being actually one of the longer circuits that we'll go to over the course of the season. Remember, round number 1, we had that very short circuit of Tsukuba. We're going to go to Lime Rock Park at some point as well. We also took a trip to Okayama, which was about a similar length to this circuit. But yeah, this is still sort of typically more of a GP style circuit than a lot of the tracks that we're going to go to here over the course of this season. And maybe it's raced a little bit differently as a result, as it's less fast and frantic.
It is, but the action here in the major AMX ESPORTS Championship Series race was tremendous. I think the sim drivers really were on top of their game that weekend in terms of bringing the audacity of the moves right here. I was stunned by watching a lot of the moves that they were making right there. Of course, we had the final 10-minute race at the end to decide the result of the feature race, and even there, the intensity was on there. But the one point that was very, very clear here, your judgment in terms of making the right moves is very, very different. We saw so many teams colliding, so many teams not able to judge properly where the other driver will come back on the inside line as we see a spinner out on track. And that can be a problem in that turn 2, turn 3 section, because so many times the lines sort of converge at one spot, and you need to have the awareness to know where the other driver will rejoin and how much space you have to give to them. That was a problem in the major sim series race. I think that could be less of a problem in the junior race, as the drivers might attempt to make moves in more conventional slots.
Yeah, potentially. You can see track pretty dusty out there, or at least offline. That's typical to what you would usually see here at Laguna Seca. It is in the middle of a desert in the US, after all, as all that sand gets blown up onto the track, and sort of causes, it doesn't cause huge issues most of the time, Sumil, but it's something that you do have to be conscious of. I think the drivers were relatively lucky that we actually got a randomized track usage of 30% coming into this, because if it was any lower, then maybe some reduced grip problems out there because of that sand. But right now it's only offline, which will only potentially be a problem if they go side by side, which I know they will.
And you can already see the troubles. In fact, that's a very good reminder right there. Pit exit here at Laguna Seca is also a major problem. Not that they're going to use it a lot, because no pit stop is mandatory here, but we know that a few drivers eventually have to make a stop or two by a penalty or whatnot. But yeah, no, that's a very good point you mentioned right there. Going offline can be a major disadvantage. And then you might just raise the question, well, what's the need to go offline, right? You can only make moves in the right places. If anything, you've got to force others to go offline. But it's Laguna Seca eventually. It is such a technical circuit that sometimes piecing a lap together becomes a major problem. And sometimes you end up just losing concentration and end up going offline. And that can bite so much here. Especially this corner, the dip down before the corkscrew. There's been so many iRacing memes made on there, on Reddit, where people say that it's not the corkscrew that haunts me, it's the left-hand corner before it. And seriously, I can't disagree with that. That really is such a challenging corner to take out quickly.
Yep, it really is. So drivers coming to the end of their outlap here. A lot of opportunity to try and get those tyres and temperatures into pressure, as we see a car go heavy into the concrete wall in the background. So drivers coming across the line to start their flying laps then, or at least the first of their flying laps, and in amongst them is the driver of Yunho Park. So he's going to be a force to be reckoned with as far as this qualifying is concerned. Well, maybe it doesn't help that he has a bit of traffic going off circuit ahead of him. Then again, of course, these first laps will just be the sort of banker laps, just to make sure you have a stable platform for the rest of the session. But qualifying hasn't always been plain sailing for Yunho Park. I just remember the last round, he really struggled to get a lap in, and was only able to do so by the very end of the session.
It was like Sebastian Vettel back in Formula 1 in 2011, when he used to be at Red Bull. He would just try and try and try. The first 8 odd minutes of qualifying, nothing would ever happen. Final lap, he comes in and he pulls in an absolute stonker. That's what it's been like for Yunho Park. He makes this thing that it's not going well, it's too hard, it's too challenging the track, too challenging a car to manage, and then comes out and beats everyone by 3/10. He's just something else. He's just sort of pulling out all the rabbits from the bag and reminding us every single round why he and his senior racing team in DCD Esports are at the very top of the championship. I don't know, can you even call him a junior driver in a way?
Well, still qualifies as one, that's for sure. Of course, these
Technically.
guys are competing for the scholarship money at the very end, so it's about 2 million won, which is equivalent to a couple of $1,000s to help towards the studies of these various drivers. That's not ideal though for Yunho Park, because he runs straight into the back of the driver on qualifying lap. I remember the rules are well, the rules regarding minimum pacing speed and other rules are enforced during qualifying, so you do have to be careful here that you don't ruin the lap of another driver by just driving slowly and having problems.
Yeah, exactly, and there's no real incentive for that. Just they've been hammered in to drive cleanly and to behave like sportsmen and sportswomen, of course, for that matter. It's good, but this doesn't help. Again, stuff happens. Stuff just happens. You've got so many drivers going side by side. It's such a high-intensity championship. Even though there have been briefings, even though they've been told, it's just racing. Things do happen eventually. You've just got to get your head down and move on from that. Whichever driver crashed, I'm sorry, it's good that they've got a few minutes down the line left for them, because I think they really have to warm up their tires and go for a pretty good lap now. I think they might just get a couple of laps in.
Yeah, possibly. Wu Shin going fastest of everyone right now, about half a second ahead of Yunho Park. Here's Yunwoo Na in the bright lime green Radical heading through the final corner. And, well, let's see what sort of lap time the number 58 can set. Coming up across the line now. And he will get a 1:21.940, puts him P11 still for now. So Yunwoo Na still in the bottom end of bottom half of the field here, but at least seeing the field spread at the moment. This Jinwook Choi goes up into P6 there in the yellow Radical. Some fast lap time still coming in, so still some time left out there on circuit, that's for sure. But great lap there from Wu Shin in the number 4 car to be able to put 4 tenths, well, 5 tenths on Yunho Park.
Exactly. It has been superb so far. And normally the trend has been that Yunho Park would go up there and set the fastest lap, but only be up ahead by a little bit. Now, that has been absolutely reversed all the way through. I wonder though, has Yunho Park put in a representative lap? I think in all the laps that we've seen from him so far, we've seen him being sort of impacted by traffic all the way around. And this might be the first ever lap he puts in cleanly. So watch out for those gaps. In fact, Sung Young Kang has beaten him on the provisional timings as well.
Yes, so Sung Young Kang up into second place. What's the second flying lap going to be like for Yunho Park, however, as he heads and negotiates that final corner. Foot to the throttle all the way to the start-finish line here. And it's a 1:17.471 for Yunho Park. That's more like what we're used to seeing from the young driver of number 12. And he goes fastest. But is there any sort of response from anyone else? Is Wu Shin up to the task to try and get himself pole position? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But that's a very, very good lap being set by Yunho.
It's not just the fact that he's gone fastest that's a bit surprising. It's the fact that by how much has he gone fastest. 4 tenths of a second, that is alarming. That's all the good work that all the other drivers have put in over the last few weeks, gone in a flash. They were, of course, obviously closer enough in the last few weeks, but Yunho has just gone in there and eked out a bit more of a margin for himself. That is just tremendous. What can Wu Shin do right now? Didn't seem to be a good enough lap time, this one, but Connery, really, it's still a bit alarming. 4 tenths of a second, that is huge around a circuit like Laguna Seca. But this is a circuit where the technique really comes in handy, and we know that Yunho Park has got plenty of it.
Yeah, he does. His technical ability is unsurpassable, at least as far as the clean air pace is concerned in this series. I haven't really seen many times where he could be evenly matched. Of course, we saw a relatively close battle in terms of the qualifying times at Okayama, but it seems like every single other race, apart from the ovals, he's just been by far and away the fastest driver in clear air. But can Hee Jang-an put a stop to that? That's going to be a no for now. It seems to be an outlap for the driver of the number 13. Yeah, there's going to be a lack of opportunities now for the end of this session, and Yunho Park could potentially go even faster, especially considering he has a little bit of help from the draft ahead of him.
Exactly, that could mean an even bigger gap right now. He's already made it work. He's already up by 7/10 of a second now. I wonder, can he make it bigger? With only a couple of minutes to go,
Oh!
this will not help, that's for sure.
Well, that will mean that, well, no damage, so he can get up across the line to then start another lap, because unlike the main AMX Esports Championship here, you are able to complete your current qualifying lap once that session clock ticks down to 0. Might not even be an issue here for Yunho Park, depending on how quickly he gets to the line. But yeah, that's just another opportunity that hasn't gone his way. But I get the feeling the other drivers out there wouldn't mind that, because they feel like he gets all the opportunities anyway.
Well, he doesn't just get them, he makes it for himself. That's the beauty about Yunho Park's driving so far. What about Junwee Park though? This could help, to be honest with you. He's got some very good draft. Of course, he's giving it to somebody else as well. But this could be a very helpful factor if they keep it clean up ahead, which seemingly is the case so far. I think Junwee Park's got a lot more in the bag. He's shown signs of brilliance so far this season. A good qualifying result. And maybe he could challenge the likes of Hee Jung-an and Woo Jin-shin, who have been so far, I think, somewhat the closest to Yunho.
Yeah, I think they have sort of been in the sort of same sort of ballpark as Junwee Park, now getting up behind. And number 7 gets the run stalls through the corner somewhat, though. That number 7 car is Seca Nam, who's down in P14 at the moment, so not the fastest car to have on your nose and try and slipstream through on. But Junwee Park just having to stay there. At the moment, there's no opportunities for him to breeze by on the traffic, so he's just going to have to sit behind and sit in the slipstream and hope and pray that this lap is any good. Let's see. No, not quite 1:19.2 compared to his best time of 1:18.3, so that's not ideal there for Junwee Park. As I'm having a look to see where Hee Jung-an is, currently P3 in qualifying. That's the checkered flag out in qualifying. These drivers will be able to complete their laps, however. This one's not looking too good either for Hee Jung-an as he heads his way into the final corner, so I don't think he's going to improve there. Kyu Lee, late lap being put in, goes up into P7. So the situation now is there's Shun Woo Jin. Again, is this a good enough lap to even get anywhere close to Yunho Park, who's put 7/10 of a second over everyone? The answer's going to be no. He dives it down on towards the pit lane. Where's Sung-Young Kang? He's heading his way through the second to last corner now, but that lap time doesn't look like it's going to be any good either, so he decides to come down on towards the pit lane. So a lot of drivers are aborting their laps late on in this session, and once again, it seems to be a Yunho Park pole position.
But this time it's bigger than it ever has been this season. What has Yunho Park done in that lead up to this race? 7/10 of a second, Conrad. That is just alarming. And now I know that getting some good rhythm at Laguna Seca is quite a challenge in qualifying. But this is just technique beyond anything what we've seen so far this season. All he needs right now is no interference from lap traffic. But that is the one thing that has plagued the AMX Junior Cup from the very beginning.
Just to add insult to injury, he goes even faster in the dying moments of this session. You can see, oh wait, you can't quite see it because Woo Jin-shin's on the pit lane, but he's about 8/10 of a second faster than everyone else at the moment, which is absolutely crazy. Seems like he's unbeatable here at Laguna Seca. But let's hope I'm not giving him the curse of the commentator, as we'll have a look at the starting grid for round number 6 of the AMX Esports Junior Cup. Yunho Park on pole position. Who else in that number 12 car with Woo Jin-shin joining him on the front row, hoping to keep tabs on him during the race. Maybe the draft can keep himself in contention. Hee Jung-an in P3 with Sung-Young Kang in P4. Junwee Park starts in P5 with Junho Jang in P6 today. Kyu Lee in P7. Jung-hyun Choi, P8 today. Hong So-jang in P9 and Jin-wook Choi, P10. And then you see the bottom portion of the field, Jung-ho Kim and Jun-bom Hong, P11 and 12 respectively. Yun-woo Na, P13 with Min-gal Kim in P14. P15 goes to Seok-hyun Nam and Woo Jae-sung, P16. Taehyun Kim in 17th with Hae-sung Na, P18. And at the back of the starting grid here today at Laguna Seca. So, That's a recap of what the order is for the start here. They'll get themselves positioned up behind that iRacing pace car, and well, we're about a minute away from going racing here today at Laguna Seca. So, main things to look out for over the course of this race. Can the number 12 of Yunho Park get away in the early stages of the race and then run his own race at the very front of the field? That seems to be his winning strategy so far this season. But does Woojin Shin have some hidden race pace here? We'll just have to wait and see. So we might be able to make a battle of it for the front position over the 20 minutes that we have here. But it seems like here, at least if you ask me, the main battles will be in and around that mid-pack with those close lap times in quali.
100%, and watch out for Shin Woo-jin versus Hee Jung-an versus Sung Yong Kang. Three drivers who individually have brought a lot to the table on the upper mid-pack. Here today, they're all bunched up together at a circuit that can allow for great racing. If they don't catch it at Yunho Park, that's a bit of a problem. But together as well, I think they can put up quite a show and hopefully put up an exhibition of what good racing can actually look like with the radical SR8s.
So, gridding timer has expired. You'll see that the iRacing pace car roll forward in just a couple of moments' time. There we go. Here's the view from Sung Yong Kang as it's a very, very short run to the start here. Not a lot of time to work with at all to try and prepare yourself for what's to come. Pace car is already down and in. You can see the drivers start to wiggle a little bit just to make sure the tyre's in the right condition. And we'll be ready to go on green here right about now. Green flag comes out pretty soon here at Laguna Seca, and Yunho Park hasn't actually gotten the best of starts off the line there. He's challenged by Shin Woo-jin coming down in towards turn number 1. Shin Woo-jin around the outside of turn 1. Has he overcooked it though? Yes, he has. He lets a couple of cars by on the inside there. Hee Jung-an up into second place, and now Woojin Shin has to battle with Junie Park for P3. But Junie Park has other issues. He has Sung Yong Kang sticking his nose down the inside. And now there's contact between the two through the first sector. And Junie Park hits the barriers.
Oh my word, what an absolute calamity of a start it was for Junie Park. Seemed like his big opportunity, seemed like he could make up 2 positions, and now he's lost a ton of them. For Shin Woo-jin though, you've got to respect the attempt, you've got to respect the fact that he tried something around the outside. It's a different matter, he just could not make it work.
Here's the look then as you see Woojin attempting around the outside, but I don't think the tyres are really in the condition to be able to have the grip around the outside there. Little bits of contact there coming through the corner, and then of course Sung Yong Kang and Junie Park come together right here, and that's all on Sung Yong Kang there, running straight into the back of the 79. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a penalty come through for the Elisa.
And that's what happens at the start. That's what happens when there's so much aggression and adrenaline running so high. And that is also what happens when there's a driver error. Jung Bum Hong going wide at that final corner. It's one thing we discussed quite a fair bit in that last AMX Series Championship race here. That final corner is deceptively tight. Let's do a quick look at what's happened here. A driver error, most likely.
Seems to be the case, heading into the final sector. A little bit of a slide through the second to last corner. What happens here down into, it's the final corner. You go a little bit too out into that gravel and it grabs you. It's unforgiving.
Oh, it really is, and that braking point over there as well. You feel like you slowed the car down enough, but you put a wheel outside and bam! There's no way you're going to come back from that one. Unless you have a good detour in the gravel, which they did. In the mid-pack though, this is turning out to be quite a lot of fun. You don't make a move down the inside right there, but they have made it work. Junho Jang executing it to perfection and smartly blocking off the cutback.
Woo Jae Sung is the car behind, at least looking briefly for a line in towards the corkscrew. But let's have another look at that. In this particular battle, Junho Jang still... you can see him there. There's a compromised line there from a driver ahead of him that gave him the opportunity and the run up in towards the kink, and it's easy down the inside for Junho Jang in that situation. So put the 17 up into the 8th spot, but I don't think these guys are quite done just yet, especially since Junho Jang has a run on Caillou Lee coming in towards turn number 1, but won't go for any moves as the cones will scatter, and oh no, Caillou Lee going very wide through the Andretti hairpin. Is a very common mistake, though, as he seems to have taken a bollard for the ride. And, well, that's an easy pass in the end for Junho Zhang. I wonder if that ball that the number 15 has collected on the front is affecting his performance in some way. It doesn't usually, as it will then disappear. There we go. So that's not a problem there, but maybe a little bit of a distraction there for that particular driver. Let's just have a check-in on what's going on at the very front, and well, it's very, very simple in the end. It's Yunho Park leading by about 4 seconds at this point, but what has happened to Jung Hyun Choi, because he was sitting in P3 and now he's down in P4, so let's have a little wind back and see what happened here.
I wonder, is that a crash, a self-error? Seems like it's okay, but the corkscrew, it's a place where so many drivers have broken limbs and lost so much confidence as well in the real world. Is that what it is? It is what it is. A rather docile move at the corkscrew there. Nothing too flashy, but again, missing the braking marker. If anything, you've got to put it to him that he didn't go a bit too wild there, which is a good thing to do. He's only lost one position. Could be worse, to be honest.
It certainly could be worse. A little bit of battling deeper in the field, though. That was for P number 9 between Woo Jae-sung and Jung Bum-hong as well. So Jung Bum-hong on a little bit of a recovery drive at the moment after that spin, or that, well, not quite a spin, but a big moment in the final corner on the first lap. That put him down a whole bunch of positions. Now he's trying to steadily work his way back up through the fields to where he thinks he should be. Let's take a look at the biggest movers in the race here in just a couple of moments, because I'm very curious to see who's had the best time of all the incidents. Says Kai-Ho Lee going very, very slow. We'll hold the phone on the movers for now, because Kai-Ho Lee seems to have had a big moment.
Yeah, he was absolutely sideways in the middle. Could have T-boned a couple of cars. That would have been good if this was a demolition derby, but the fact is that this isn't, and so it just does not work out. Here's the replay of that one. I think he catches the gravel somewhere and the car spins around on him. That's what happens. The curb is the problem. And the rejoin, watch out.
Yeah, we'll get another look at it as we'll see the onboard. Into turn 5, it's fine. Maybe a slight mistake effect on the inside there, but otherwise fine. And then it comes the big problem through the kink. That is a massive curve on the inside there. You can't afford to do that. And, well, the spin isn't ideal. And, yeah, the rejoin can be a little bit sketchy. I'm not sure if anyone was coming. I'm just going to cycle things back to see if indeed... Oh! Actually, that's fine. He was holding the brakes through that entire sequence. He didn't exactly roll forward all too much. So I think he should be fine as far as an unsafe rejoin penalty is concerned.
That was scary. I literally got the heart in my mouth right there. That sort of rejoin can make you worry, but he did a good thing right there. Not really accelerating past or doing anything a bit too flashy right there. But a word on Yunho Park. Sort of have an idea why he's been so good this weekend. And if you cast your mind back only to a couple of weeks ago, Yunho was racing right here in the Sim Drivers race in the BMW M8 GTE at Laguna Seca for DCTE Racing. He's only one of 3 drivers right there, and Yunho, even in that race, was a class apart, making quite a comeback drive. I think it shows that he's got a lot more race experience at Laguna Seca, and that is why he's just clocking in some stonkers of lap times right at the very top.
Yeah, he's doing so well, and gap is now up to 6.7 seconds, so he could potentially make a mistake, just like Hong So-jang has made, and through turn number 1, and it's absolutely fine for Yunho Park. It's not so fine for Hong So, as he does lose the position to Junho Zhang there for P6. By the way, I did say a while ago that we wanted to have a look at the biggest movers in the field so far, and well, there they are. Currently, Jung Bum-hong there down in P9 up 3 positions. You've got Sukun Nam in up 4 positions at the moment. Same with Jung Hyun Choi, who's got himself up into P4 by gaining those 4 positions. So I like that symmetry. But obviously, the driver that's had probably the toughest time that's still running at the moment is that driver of Junhee Park, who's down 7.
Indeed, yeah, Junhee Park has had a tough day today. Could be worse, could be like Sung Kyung Kang, could be hit hard in that sort of grouping, and this is what happens. They almost hit hard. Junho Zhang getting past the lap traffic right there. My word, that got scary. That really did. He counted it at the really wrong spot. And no, that was not lap traffic. That was Jinwook Choi who got past. And that, in that case, was a very smartly executed move then.
Yeah, it really was. And now Jinwook Choi has to try and defend from Hung So Jang. Oh no! Jinwook Choi's overcommitted turn 1 and has a bit of an embarrassing spin towards the outside, drops back behind Woo Jae Sung there as actually he'll drive down the inside. Woo Jae Sung in through the first couple of corners, a little bit more contact and, well, 2 bits of contact in basically 2 or 3 corners there for Jinwook Choi.
I mean, it really sucks when you come back and rejoin as soon as you possibly can after a spin. There's such a good chance that you might end up making contact with somebody else because you're not in the mental frame of mind. You just want to get rid of the last error, and so in that case, you can't focus on your driving, and you end up making another error. That's the sort of stuff that we saw right there. He had the raw pace. He ideally should have waited for a couple of more corners, but he didn't, and the impact is right here visible. Again, I can say it could be worse, but really, that's not the way you drive, to be honest.
Yeah, certainly not. Certainly not. That's not what we would like to see. Coming up to the halfway point of the race, though, everyone, at least as far as the top positions, I guess all the way down to P10, have kind of spread themselves out at the moment. And I'm seeing Ming-Yal Kim having an issue there. I'm seeing Seung-Yeon Kang actually have a pretty big issue. Maybe he got himself a slowdown penalty coming through the corkscrew there, which is certainly not going to help things. Oh, John Bohm. John Bohm. Big issue out of the final corner. Is this trouble getting the power down or what? I don't know. He has to be careful here. He might lose these positions back to Jung Ho Kim and Ming-Yal Kim and Seung-Yeon Kang if he's not too careful. But it looks like he has the speed required down in towards turn number 1. But let's have a look at what has happened to the driver of the number 97, because it is a pretty big traction zone, that last corner. I wonder if he spun up the tires.
I'm curious. Don't end up hitting right there, and that's what happened. The thing we sort of warned off early on in the broadcast. Spinning the tires. And that's the thing with Radical SR8. When you put some 500 odd horsepower in a car that barely weighs nothing, there is a chance that it will be very tail-happy. And that is a clear example of that. And there we go. That's the number 2 of Ming-Yal Kim also having an error of that sort. This one was not on the throttle. Instead, this one on the brakes. Couple of incidents in quite quick succession as well. Is that something on Kang behind him that's trying to squeak his way by? I think he does. I have to wonder if that's contact. Oh, it is contact. That's one for the stewards, I'm afraid, as you can see it in a couple of ways. So you can see it as Ming-Yal Kim moving in the braking zone, but you can also see it as a simple front to rear contact for Seung-Yeon Kang. We'll get to see it here. You can see, yeah, that's a move to the inside in the braking zone for me. I think that's a bit crazy. Yeah, that was a bit sketchy in a situation like that one. But look at this one. There's so much contact happening right there. Even on recovery drives, it gets a bit too frustrating. And that sort of defending really just sort of makes it so hard to pass. But again, it's Laguna Seca. It's a tricky circuit. You've got to know what you're doing while attacking and defending. Got to be super conscious of your actions. The stewards might not have the best idea of this accident on the whole. They might not. And could be a problem. At least for a good couple of drivers. The driving standards, well, the stewards are hard to get on top of well, that wasn't lap traffic. That was, actually it was lap traffic, excuse me. I am talking nonsense in that situation. But Woo Jae Sung still trying to hold on to position here over Seok-Yeon Nam. Seok-Yeon Nam dives it down the inside at the hairpin and gets the position done. Is he completely clear though? That's the question, because Woo Jae Sung can now sit inside his slipstream and get maybe an attempted pass down in towards turn 1. Is he going to stay in line? Is he going to dive for the move? Stay in line is the choice. Interesting. He's got to wait. He's got to use the time very wisely right now. 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes for that matter. It's a good period. You can execute some very good moves right there. And I think that's a wise choice, to be honest. There's plenty more opportunities coming up. You've just got to stay together. You've just got to stay with him. And considering how the pace has been, I think that's very much a real possibility. And that's actually one of the more smarter moves made so far today. Yeah, I think so too. And that's all I'm saying.
as there's also a couple of other cars getting themselves involved in this. Kyo Lee is one of them in the orange Radical there. He's got Junie Park behind him, continuing on that recovery drive as well. This potentially might get a little bit spicy in amongst this group if history is anything to go by.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be so much fun down there. And Woo Jae-sung has been gaining position so much. He's been rapid here today so far. Well then, what about defending a few? Seokhyun now comes into the pits, and that's a bit surprising because damages are off. A penalty, perhaps?
Yeah, confirmed drive-through penalty for Seokhyun Nam. A bit of slow traffic in the middle of the roads for these drivers. Well, the exact rule is that the lap traffic doesn't necessarily have to get well out of the way, but you do need to keep your pacing speed as Kyo Lee now dives down the inside for P8, gets the position over Woo Jae-sung. Woo Jae-sung trying to peek up, and underneath though, oh, big moment. Somehow, oh no, he hasn't held on to it. Woo Jae-sung does make contact with the wall. Unfortunate placement of our cameras and our graphics there, though we didn't quite see all of that, but that was a big moment. Thankfully, Woo Jae-sung didn't spin all the way around and he's able to rejoin the race in pretty swift fashion. But let's take a look at what caused all of this.
My goodness, the intensity levels are just peaking up right here in the AMX Junior Cup. And that honestly, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest, because the car up ahead, they barely could see them in the mirrors, or could they not? And that was a bit of a wild pace to go down for the move any which way as such. But Woo Jae-sung, literally, what could he have done? Would he have been checking his mirrors in that case? I'm not really sure. This is a bit of a crazy one. This is just a bit of a crazy one. And his lovely comeback has just been derailed.
It has somewhat. And, we'll now return back to those live pictures. 5 minutes to go here at Laguna Seca. The leading advantage right now is up to almost 11 seconds that Yunho Park is on at the moment. So, again, untouchable at the moment. He's setting his best time in this race is a 1:17.385.
Yeah.
That's about 0.3 of a second slower than his qualifying pace, but still way above and beyond everyone else. As what can you do about this? Like, simply, what can you do about this?
Nothing. Just watch and admire. That's been the case with Yunho Park. He is a class apart. And it's not that he just keeps on being calm. He just goes up there and puts another fastest lap. That's the continuous improvement sort of feeling that he's got right there. That's what he's trying to work on. And Ming-Yeol Kim right now, I mean, he is just in the midst of a big incident, I suppose. That's what happened at turn number 1, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a bit scary.
Yeah, there's another incident I've seen come through as well. So,
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh dear. I think that's the only phrase we can use to describe that. Oh dear. But moving very swiftly on, we've had the penalties that we've had come through already. We had Sung Young Kang get himself a drive-through penalty for that lap 1 incident. We had Seokhyun Nam also come down in, but I know for a fact there are multiple incidents that are being continue to be investigated here at this point in the race. So maybe expect a lot more, maybe coming at the final couple of minutes of this race, or as post-race time penalties as well. So we'll have to wait and see, because I think the stewards have a lot to do after this one. But battle for P4 raging on though. Junho Jang continuing to make some solid progress, and now he's in the position that he's able to potentially get up into that 4th place here in a couple of moments. He's already up 1 position. Can you get the 2nd to get near the podium, on the podium? But it's the next best thing.
Yeah, P4 is not a bad position to be in on the whole. When you consider how hotly contested this championship is, I think that would be such a good result. But Junghyun Choi has been a bit of a surprise performer here today. We haven't quite seen him do as well as he has done today so far. He's been quite the toll in other people's races. Now, can he do the same for Junho Jang? Like scenario mode in Gran Turismo again, 2 minutes to go. You've got your main rival in front of you. Can you go out there and execute, most importantly today at least, a clean move?
Yeah, the point in the bank will be a little helpful for Junho Jang, as he's now going to get the slipstream all the way up in towards the kink and therefore in towards the corkscrew as well. Still climbing the hill up to the highest point in terms of elevation at this circuit. Very big braking zone down into the corkscrew as well. It's a very tricky braking zone as well, Sumo, because if you're coming up over the top of a crest, so the car gets pretty light as you're braking for that corner, and that's why we see a couple of brake blockings coming into there, because the cars don't deal well, or rather too well, with the transition. But look at this for P4, nose to tail through the final corner.
And I like this. With only 1 minute 30 seconds to go, I think we might just have 2 more laps. This one and the final one, which makes it a very interesting circumstance. No need to rush it for Junho Jang. Of course, there is a school of thought that says get the move done early and move up ahead, and he will follow that one, sends one down the inside, and that is a forced move. That is a well-executed pass right there. And aggressive, yes, but it works.
Great stuff from Junho Jang. He just about had enough space on the inside there to get that one done. Didn't make contact, side-to-side contact with the other driver either. It's exactly how you would like to make moves done. Here's a look at it from up above, forcing the driver ahead into a mistake, pressuring them down in towards turn number 1. There's the missed apex that was so crucial for Junho Jang, just to nip his way down the inside there and get through. That's very good opportunity to driver in front of number 17.
I like this. This is one of the better passes that we saw early on today, but what's happening for the 34 Woo Jae-sung? Ever since he's gone for that trip in that sand, the momentum just hasn't been on his side right now. This is a quick look at that incident. I've got a bad feeling about this, Connery, I really do.
Let's have a look then, side by side with another driver diving down the inside, and not enough space.
Full marks for the synchronized spinning, but those rear tyres might be absolutely cooked after that J-turn right there. But again, it's just an example of all the sort of moves that have been happening today. Misjudgments, to put it lightly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this man has kept himself out of trouble. And that's simply what you need to do in these races. He has the pace to get away at the front. He has the awareness to make sure that he isn't caught up with bits of lap traffic here and there. And that's what's won Yunho Park races in the past. Apart from that slight blip at Okayama, where he did tangle with a lapped car, and of course, as a result, his competitor as well, causing a little bit them to spin a little bit later on in the race. No such problems for Yunho Park, as the number 12 will drive out of the final corner on that final run to the line. It's another race win in the bag for Yunho Park, this time at Laguna Seca.
A dominator is what they should call him in Korean. This man has been absolutely on fire, but so has been this battle. Kyu-ho Lee and Jin-Mook Choi, they're dueling it out over P8 right now. This isn't over till the line.
Yeah, Jin-Mook Choi just about able to hold on to 8th place for now. Kyu Lee in that orange trimmed car is the man that's trying to challenge him through these last couple of corners here down the hill. Such a risky place to try and stick a nose down the inside, but if Kyu Lee can carry the speed here from the ultimate corner, then maybe there's an opportunity into the final corner. Jin-Mook Choi goes slightly defensive, didn't take the widest entry here. Oh no, Kyu Lee spins out the final corner, and can Sung Young Kang beat him to the line? I think he can. It's going to be so close, and Sung Young Kang's able to steal P9 away at the very last moment. Nail coffin.
Oh my goodness, that is almost comical, and he's celebrating it like he's won the race, Kyu-ho Lee right there. Oh, I can't even put the right word on it. That was just hilarious.
Oh no, that was... I like how we get some comic relief in this series sometimes. But Yunho Park, man of the moment though, he has no such intentions of fooling around. He's brought that car down on towards the pit lane now, and can add another first place trophy to his cabinet. But in the end, let's just take a little look at your unofficial race results from Laguna Seca. Of course, these are pending any post-race penalties that the stewards would want to apply. But Yunho Park by 13 seconds over Hee Jung-an. Well, unlucky for some, lucky for Yunho Park. Yoo Jin Shin on the podium as well. Decent result for Wu Jin here, considering. And you also got Junho Jang. Great finish there in P4, able to hold off Jung Hyun Choi in the dying laps of that one. Hong So Jang P6 today with Julie Park having a bit of a roller coaster time. He finishes P7 eventually. Jinhyuk Choi able to hold on to P8, but it was a bit of calamity behind as Sung Hyun Kang pipped Kyo Lee to the post by only about half a tenth of a second at the very end there. That was very, very close indeed in the battle for P9. Then you have a look at the back of your field. Jung Ho Kim P11, Sukyeon Nam P12, Woo Jae Sung P13, Jung Bum Hong P14, Yeon Woo Na 15th, Min Ya Kim, Tae Hun Kim, and Hai Sung Na rounding out the 18-car field here today. Laguna Seca, Radicals, junior drivers. Pretty good combination, right?
It's put a big smile on our faces, and that's all you can ask for from your racing right there. Yeah, it was messy at times, but don't lie. You were amazed by Yunho Park's driving. You were amazed by some of those good moves that we saw and that battle we saw in the midfield between Junho Jang and Junhyun Choi. And of course, that honestly hilarious finish right at the very end. Not hilarious if you're Q Holy. That was frustrating, but it's just something out of that sort of old story of a tortoise and a rabbit. You just gotta keep on going, even if you're slow. You might just win the battle by half a tenth. Yeah, who cares? You won in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Who cares? In that situation, you get every single position you can, every little bit of time left out there on circuit, you're just going to go for, and well, it does get you results sometimes. Sometimes there is only half a second in like in that battle for P number 9, and you know, that's what separates good drivers from slightly mediocre drivers in that situation. But that is another round in the books for the AMX Esports Junior Cup. But next up, we'll be heading to Barcelona, Catalunya Grand Prix circuit in the BMW M4 GT3s for the real-life driver race here in the AMX Esports Championship. These guys, earlier on in the season, Sumo, they gave us a pretty good show at the Nürburgring. And I wonder if they'll do the same here at also another F1 circuit.
Nothing to wonder about. It's just clear they will go out there, have a good race. The action point, of course, turn number 1, that is going to be mighty impressive. But what I'm really keen to see right there in the feature race, tire management. Now, okay, you might come up to me and say it's only 30 minutes, Samuel. A GT4, GT3 stint, they lost about an hour. Nothing to worry about. But only recently we saw in the Sports Car Open Challenge as well, and even the Master Series, that many teams and drivers at Catalonia, even halfway through, there were minor discrepancies in their rubber management. Some were able to manage it better than the others, and it did impact them by a couple of tenths here and there. So in this case, when we've got so many top drivers right there, and for instance, what about the battle between the number 12 and the number 11 DCT cars? They're only, a couple of hundreds next to each other. So a couple of tenths in terms of tire management could be huge right there. And also, in the midfield, technicalities, how do they manage that section all the way from turn number 4 to turn number 9? It's a proper hardcore driver challenge, this one. And if not for some good racing, at least it'll be quite the spectacle to see how these guys navigate Barcelona, because it's such a fun circuit for me. Now, many people don't like it. Again, opinions galore. Everyone has their own stuff, but I just love it. I just love every single race that happens at Barcelona, including Formula 1, by the way.
You are very much in the minority as far as
it's good for strategies.
Yeah, I guess so. But even then, I think the strategies, we're getting way off topic here, but then even then again, I think the strategies at Barcelona are kind of, they're all worked out beforehand because they do so much pre-season testing there. Yeah. So they know how the tires behave, so there's not all that much intrigue in terms of the strategies. I think if it wasn't a pre-season testing venue for Formula 1, then maybe we'll see some more exciting races with the strategy there. But for right now, as it is with a as a test track for Formula 1, it's not too good. But yeah, sometimes it does play host to some good racing, especially in other categories of car that can follow in dirty air, like these GT3s.
Oh yes, 100%. In fact, I think only a couple of weeks ago in Sports Car Open, and I know I'm referencing that a lot because that's the most direct comparison that we can make right here, in the SEO Sprint Masters Challenge as well. So many people going side by side, too wide at the long looping turn number 3. In GT3 cars, it's just insane. It's quite the sight. In the GT4 Championship that I get to commentate on, we had 3 cars going side by side from the start of turn 3 right down to the very end. It's just the car that's the problem here at Barcelona. It's not the track in terms of following in most places. It can be done. It is very much possible. And so this opens up so many possibilities. A comeback drive can be well executed if you nail those final couple of corners. That run down to turn number one is so critical, Connery. Sort of makes it essential that to make good moves, you've got to be good in the technical section. And that I think can be a bit of a watch because all the real world drivers take part today and their technique can't be doubted pretty much.
So, we've got the stage set then. The real-life drivers will take themselves to this Barcelona-Catalunya circuit in just a couple of moments' time. We'll be right back, everyone, after this short message from our sponsors.
미쉐린, 미식의 길을 안내하다. 미쉐린, Motion for Life.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the AMX Esports Championship. My name's Connery Maddock and I'm joined by Sumil Arora for this wonderful championship that we've been, well, having the pleasure to witness over the last couple of months or so. We head to Barcelona, Catalonia though for the next round of the championship, round number 9 to be exact here at the AMX Esports Championship. We have the real-life drivers taking themselves to the circuit here at Barcelona. We covered a little bit of what's to come before we went to the break, but we might as well recap it now, as we'll just take a little bit of a look at the standings as they are coming into this one. You can see DCTE Racing and DCT Racing still leading the way, with Atlas BX pretty close behind still, but otherwise still sort of off the pace at the moment compared to DCT. Ulsan DR Motorsports with their fantastic finish, their win at their feature race win at Charlotte Motor Speedway, has been able to give them a pretty good boost in the championship, putting themselves ahead of Team BTC. But that's the order as it stands here, and well, still things can very much change by the time this season is done. We are again at the halfway point of the championship, round number 9 of 18 rounds, Sumo, and still everything to play for. At least for those top 3 spots, everyone's still pretty cozy with each other.
100%, but that was a bit quite fun, especially at that very top one. DCDE Racing versus DC Racing. Seriously, look at the gap. Look at how close they've been to each other, and they've been just as close on the track as well. They've come to blows with each other. They've made contact with each other, and I can only wonder, when will we reach that period when they have the free liberty to go up against each other without any team orders? They can't do that right now because they've got a few other teams close up in the background. And yes, you might say there's a 19-point difference between them and all the others, but still, that 19-point gap can be cut down so easily by a few missed performances. Firstly, right here at Catalonia, and what about the offline events that are coming up right there as well in a couple of weeks' time? They have so many points on offer, and one bad race there means that so many other teams in Cat.
Yeah, they can't rest on their laurels here, can DCT Racing or DCTV Racing. They have to keep up these good performances throughout the rest of this second half of the season now. They simply can't put a foot wrong, and they haven't been completely immune to problems, have they? I mean, they came together, both the cars, both the leading DCT cars came together at Spa-Francorchamps. Thankfully, they went in a position that they were able to lose any positions off of that. But again, it's just one of those things that sort of lingers in the mind somewhat, and just makes the drivers think, oh, okay, like I'm not totally safe here, which is possibly actually a better attitude to take into the races, that at least better than thinking you're absolutely invincible.
And that sort of invincibility approach came in a few races ago, sort of, where they did start to take things a little bit leniently around Spa, on the last offline event. But there are other teams who have closed up. Atlas BX and the likes have been quite good. Euro may not be in the championship battle right now, but they are also getting quite close up ahead in this fight as well. They've been quite good, and as you can see on the screen right now, Donghyun Kim has a big responsibility, debuting that fresh new look to the Atlas BX team, and they close up the gap to DC. Now, from past records, what it takes to close up the gap to DCT is not something that Atlas BX can control. What they can control is consistent results on their side. Laguna Seca was, dare I say this, terrible for them. They had so many opportunities to close out the points gap, they could not capitalize on even one of them. Now is that chance. They've got to do everything they can in their power and hope that DCT have some sort of a failure. Because honestly speaking, Atlas BX haven't quite been able to do all that that's in their power to close that gap down.
They haven't, but you know, they've had opportunities to, though. They had in the real driver race for the first phase of this competition. They had Donghyun Kim in a pretty good position to potentially even win that race, but penalty, of course, sent him towards the very rear of the field, and well, that's not exactly ideal, is it? At least in terms of a championship hope. Maybe if he didn't get that penalty there at the Nürburgring, maybe Atlas BX will be in a much better position. I gotta say, though, looking back at that Atlas BX livery, I think a lot of top sim racing teams can take a leaf out of some of these Korean teams' book as far as liveries are concerned, because a lot of them are looking absolutely fantastic. And that Atlas BX one, the new one, is looking brilliant at the moment, and up and down the field, as I awkwardly point the camera towards pit lane, there are some absolutely fantastic liveries out there, and the variety is something to appreciate as well. There's the Grit Motorsports car, which is always fantastic, and I'm always a big fan of fancy coloured rims like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I sort of don't get why more mainstream sim racing teams don't go all bonkers with their liveries like that. It's just amazing. It's sort of like those comic books you end up seeing, of those old anime comic books. I'm not sure what you call them in real life.
Like, sort of, you know, mangas, I guess.
Mangas, exactly. Yeah. And that sort of intense design where you can see some sort of intensity in the car. You can see those frisky lines all the way through, like what you can see with the Motorsport car, with that blue and that neon color right there in the middle. Amazing. It just sort of brings that action, reminds you that, hey, it's not just all relaxation right here. This is serious stuff. levels are super high. Well, One Racing are the new team to come up in the championship. They've gone much more conventional.
Yeah, a more conventional livery for certain, but still bright yellow. I'm a fan of the interesting colours. I suppose as usually a lot of sim racing teams have gone with the typical boring sort of black silver sort of style, which is fine. And for example, Sung Yong Kang in the Solar Indigo Performance here going with a very black and white sort of theme, but it sometimes gets a little bit overdone. I get the feeling, but yeah, it does give a little bit of a flash of colour to this series as Sang Jin Lee does decide to have a little bit of an escapade through the gravel. Not exactly ideal for the DCT Esports driver. We are eagerly awaiting qualifying to start, and it's going to start in the next couple of seconds, in fact. So 10 minutes of open qualifying here in the AMX Esports Championship. This time around, though, they will not be able to complete their final lap when the time expires, so you do have to be pretty careful about that. But 10 minutes of qualifying here at Barcelona Catalunya has started, and this is a track where it's pretty crucial as well.
100%. Passing here can be quite the problem, as it's historically shown to be in Formula 1. But with GT3s, it's less of a problem, but it's still not gone. You've got to execute your moves to perfection here at turn number 1. And honestly, it takes some driving ability to make sure that you don't make contact right there. It's a very hard corner where your judgment matters so much. Just knowing where the other person is going to come back on track is such a critical aspect. Then all the way through across that long looping turn number 3. Honestly, Conrad, I think we might see some dives here at turn 4 as well. But what really matters is how you can stitch together that lap in qualifying, because after you've nailed this first section, which is so demanding mentally, you come to the middle part where there are some corners that don't even have brake markers for that matter.
Yeah, it can be a cause for concern, I suppose. You're having to rely on the beginnings of the curbs and things like that to try and remember where your braking point is. And well, previously in iRacing, before we had these fancy sort of day-night transitions, you could use shadows to be able to keep track of where your braking points are, but not so much nowadays over the past couple of years, because we've had that day-night transition feature come through, so the shadows do move. So you can't. The shadows aren't a reliable source of information with regards to braking anymore. But yeah, it can be a point of contention. But we'll have to see, at least as far as the race is concerned, how much overtaking and how much late braking moves that we will actually get. Because of course, one of your main opportunities is down into turn number 1. You've also got an opportunity into the hairpin at the start of the final sector as well. So those are the two main points to really look at. But you know, even though you can get this slipstream down the pit straight here, Sumil, it's no guarantee of a move being complete into turn 1, because turn 1 isn't really suited for passing, given it's this sort of weird medium speed corner that then flicks into that left-hander and the S is up the hill. So it's kind of a very tough to complete a pass through there.
Yeah, 100% it is. You've got to line it up, and for that, as I mentioned, run off. And for a very good run off from the final. Very good run at that chicane. And for a very good run at that chicane, you need to be a very good technical driver. It all loops in. It's all what Barcelona is about. We might wonder that there's a long straight, so it sort of gives some relief to others. But no, you still have to be super good in that section. One can do it, but yeah, in some cases it becomes pretty hard for many drivers to sort of execute it to perfection.
Stephen Cho in the all chromed out Atlas BX racing team BMW there, hitting his way through Sector 1, these very long corners which, at least, well, in this series and in other series, really load up the tyres there. This is why this is considered widely as one of the most tough tracks when it comes to tyre degradation and tyre overheating. It's that first sector that's the big problem, because you're putting such a sustained load on the tyres that well, tyres aren't happy, I suppose.
They're not. They're actually screaming with agony in that first sector. And if you think that this is just some sort of exaggeration, Look again, just go and watch an onboard lap of Barcelona. You can genuinely hear them. You can genuinely hear the tires squealing so many times, and you can genuinely hear how much pressure they are put into. Even at that long turn number 10 for that matter, that we used to use previously, the tires go through a lot around here. And this corner, Connery, over here, you've just got to nail your acceleration point so badly because the car is sort of halfway on the ground and halfway up in the escalation. So you've just not got any balance properly. And you've got to nail it to perfection, just like every other corner here at Barcelona. And that is what happens when you put one wheel on the AstroTurf.
Yeah, it didn't help that he had a bit of slower traffic ahead of him. Now he has to hold the brakes and wait for the rest of the traffic to come through. Of course, unsafe rejoins are still enforced in the qualifying session, so Stephen Cho just had to wait and let everyone through. It does mean that he's not able to set the fast lap, so he's going to have to wait and get another one in. Pole position sits at the moment, DCT E-Racing's Yuman Kim in the number 12 car at the moment, and guess what? It is DCT Racing P2 as well, so Young Chan Kim in P2 at the moment. Only about 0.2 of a second behind his teammate. Still plenty of time for that to change by the time this session is done. But look at the gap between P3 and P4 though. That is only 12 thousandths of a second between Jonghyun Kim and Dongyu Kim.
That is so good. That is just amazing to watch. And if we can see something similar in the race, we will be treated. But after that, there's a bit of a gap to all the drivers up ahead. I suppose in only just getting a grip with the circuit, it takes a couple of laps before you find your ideal setting here at Barcelona, where the tires are in the perfect condition and you can go out for your best hot lap. So expect a few faster ones. Not this time though, from Jonghyun Kim.
Yeah, it seems like you only really get one flying lap out of these tyres because you know, they have a pretty sensitive operating window and they completely blow through that on the first lap or by the end of the first lap. So which is why you actually saw Yuman Kim and Young-Chan Kim basically come straight on towards pit lane after their fast laps here. So Jonghyun Kim continuing with it though in that Atlas BX racing car. You've got Dongyu Kim here as well in the number 77 machine. As that is going to be E-Euro. I'm going to have to rely on my, well, sometimes you can't quite rely on your memory as far as the liveries are concerned, but the E-Euro car continuing to head its way through in the middle sector now. 1:45.8 is Dongyu's fastest lap time, but still more lap time on the plate, I suppose. He's, again, 12 thousandths of a second behind P3 at the moment. So that is certainly a very, very surmountable gap for that driver to overcome.
Dongyu Kim has got so much pedigree. He in fact got into the world of motorsport and sim racing for that matter to an amateur racer program called Super Rookie in Korea back in 2013, and he won that. And that's how he got his entrance in the CJ Super Race competition, which is what made him a real world driver. Gotta love this diversity in background. Some of them transitioning from sim racing, Dongyu of course coming from a talent hunt competition, many of these others just racing drivers from the very start who went through the normal conventional karting route. I love it how they've all come together, left aside their comfort zone and are trying to fight each other on the sim.
Yeah, so Dongyu Kim heading his way on towards pit lane now, not feeling confident in that lap at all, so he's going to bring it down on towards the safety of pit lane. The DCT racing cars, they've been kind of qualifying together here. You see that both the Solite cars also working together out there as well, so that's beneficial for those drivers that have, or those teams that have multiple cars in this championship. You can use that to your advantage by getting the slipstream games off each other. But I think Young Chan Kim's just been bullied out of the way by the Solite cars there, so he'll drop in behind them. They will just about have enough time, I think, to get another lap in at the end of this one, but no, Gaimun Kim's been spun by one of the Solite cars in through the final chicane. He'll be able to get back going, and well, he has to get a move on if he wants to put a lap in. Young Chankin will be able to come through the final corner here. He needs to cross the line with about 1:46 to be able to make this lap count, and just about gets it. So Young Chankin, it looks like this is going to be a lap.
It is going to be indeed. Now 1.5 minutes to go. Which one of these teams is the one who gets the run on each other? Remember, the DCT E-Racing and the DCT Racing teams, have been having such a duel all the way around. And is it any surprise, much like the standings, Jong Hyun Kim and Atlas BX are in third?
Yeah. So back to form, I think, for Atlas BX. They haven't had the greatest last couple of races, but P3 is where they, well, I get the feeling they aim for a lot of the time. Of course, they would want a challenge for those top 2 spots from DCT Racing, but Jong Hyun Kim bringing that car on towards pit lane, so that's going to be the end of qualifying for that driver. Having a look at the rest of the times out there, you see Ulsan Motorsports, Chong Ko Lee head his way across the line. He's 6th place at the moment in the 999 car. That's where the Ulsan Motorsports car is going to start potentially for this next event. Of course, they picked up a whole boatload of points there at Charlotte Motor Speedway last time out in the influencer race, which puts them in a bit of a better spot as far as the championship is concerned. But this is the main driver that we've been looking at. Young-Chan Kim, can he gain the 0.2 of a second required to be able to put his DCT car on pole position and not the one that his teammate has of Gyu Moon Kim? So, Young-Chan Kim through the final couple of corners now, this final chicane, which is not loved too much by a lot of fans out there. He'll bring a car down towards pit lane. In fact, he didn't have enough time to be able to complete that lap. So, in the end, we've got our grid for our sprint race here today. 15-minute sprint race, and then we'll head into a 30-minute feature event with the top 8 cars from the results of the sprint race reversed. So, let's have a look then at the grid for the sprint race. Gyu Moon Kim in P1 makes it a DCT Racing 1-2 with his teammate of Young-Chan Kim on his outside. Jong Hyun Kim in P3 here today for the Atlas BX esports team. Then you have E-Euro's Dong-Gyo Kim in P4. Jinsu Kim lines up P5 with Chong Ko Lee in P6. So Solite and Ulsan in P5 and 6 respectively. Quadrilan Racing Team, Yun-Sub Jong in P7, Jungwoo Lee in P8 for Team BTC. Solite Indigo Performance is Sung Young Kang in P9 with JMO Go PSR in P10. DCT Esports is Sangjin Lee in P11 with Hyunjin Jang for DR Mighty in P12 here today. Jungsu Kim P13, Jaebin Lee in 14th. That's Team PS31 and Redcon Motorsports there. Grit Motorsports is Minjae Kang, in P15. Sing Hong Kong in P16 for 2-run. Atlas BXE Racing Team Stephen Cho in 17th with Moojin Kim from Midas in P18. And then, of course, our new team to the championship lines up on the last spot in the starting grid for the sprint race. One Racing's Young Kwang Song in P19 in the number 91 machine. So that's the starting grid for the sprint race then. Drivers already getting themselves ready. They're all pretty much lined up already. We got about 20 seconds before we start rolling here, Sumil. We had a pretty good race at the Nürburgring the last time the real-life drivers had their solo event. But do we get a repeat of it here at Barcelona? That's the question.
I think we do. With the right sort of driving, it can be a technical classic from so many others. At that very top though, I think even if all the others have incidents on their own, this battle between the two DCT teams is what excites me the most. Now finally, they've got a few points separating each other, but the vengeance from the 11 car might just be taken here today. They're not qualifying on pole now, but their battle could spill over, and maybe, just maybe, we could have a new winner. I'm so excited for this. This has to be a very good race, definitely.
We will wait and see. Drivers through the final, well, coming up to the final couple of corners, and then we will go racing here at Barcelona, Catalonia. 15-minute sprint race about to get itself underway. DCTE Racing at the very front, looking to extend their points advantage in the championship. We've got Atlas BX, you got E-Euro behind on that second row, looking to close them in the second half of the season. We're about to get underway here at Barcelona, Catalonia. For this round of the AMX Esports Championship, the real-life drivers hold. They wait, and we get the green flag now. We're racing at Barcelona. Good start for P3 though, as Jung Kyung Kim looks to shoot down the middle of the two DCT cars, coming down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. 3 wide for the race lead, looking to make it 4 wide for the race lead, but no, it's 3 wide for second place, as DCT have been able to keep themselves ahead. And now that Atlas BX car has to fight with the Euro coming through the first couple of corners. Dongyu Kim looking to try and get some speed, some momentum on the outside there. Can he get clear into the next corner? The answer's going to be no. They're still neck and neck. Jinsu Kim on the outside looking in. Jinsu Kim might be able to get underneath the both of them here. Amazing move. He has to still complete it though, coming into the middle sector, as Jungkyun Kim continues to try and fight this one out on the inside. He's making that the widest BMW that you've ever seen, but it's just allowing DCT to get away at the front.
Absolutely, Atlas BX defending so hard, and Jong Yum Kim, he has been superb. Can he continue it on though? Turn number 10 is going to be an important marker. Almost bump drafting right there with the Solite Indigo car coming up. Inside or outside? What is the line of choice? Solite Indigo to the outside line right now.
It's a big scrap for P3 here, and this is exactly what DCT want to see in their mirrors. There's been a bit of contact in the background. Jae-bin Lee involved in that one, same with Sung Yong Kang as well, but they're able to keep it pointed in the right direction, I think. I don't think anyone was spun completely round, but what a chaotic first lap here. But we haven't had too many major incidents. We have had a driver take a tow back to the pit lane, but that is it as far as that's concerned. So coming towards the end of the first lap then of this sprint race, it's Young Chan Kim from Gaemun Kim, then Jong Kyung Kim and Jinsu Kim. It's all many Kims at the very front of the field here. Of course, a very popular last name, family name in Korea, but we'll get to see a battle between Jung Woo Lee and Dong Yu Kim coming in towards turn number 1. Fantastic dueling here, but Dong Yu is able to squeeze his way through for E-Euro, and Jung Woo will just have to live to fight another day, and he has to look at his mirrors as well, because there's the Team BTC car looking to squeeze its way through as well.
And Dong Yu Kim, he tried to do a Fernando Alonso right there at the very start and tried to get past not 1, not 2, but 3 cars. And those were the 3 leaders, but he couldn't quite do it. Here's a quick look at the replay and just watch the Atlas BX car. That could have been almost perfect, but the driving there from the number 11 Connery was superb. The DCT car was just able to get the best braking zone, and they've ended up as the leaders. But this is the fun part, E-Euro squeezing them out. I love it. And the Atlas BX car just didn't stop fighting back, because they were the ones who came on top of this as the car in P number 3. And E-Euro, for a moment we thought they could be second. Now they're languishing right behind Atlas BX and Solite Indigo right now with that contact. My word, this was what an opening lap should be like, and the best part is, this battle isn't done yet.
Atlas BX, look at them just holding on to that position.
Yeah.
They might have a little bit of damage as a result of that little bit of contact, but we'll turn back to the live pictures here, as it seems like Jong Kyung Kim has ran into more problems. Yes, he has. So what has happened here to the number 9, as he has to fight with JMO Go, but JMO Go gets spat out towards the outside. That's the Team PSR car getting bullied offline. And well, we'll have to see what the situation is here, as we'll cut to the replay of the number 9 car.
The world's widest BMW went wide eventually at turn number 10. That's where they lost to Solite Indigo Performance. Do we see some contact between them and E-Euro? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, considering the way they were fighting. There was one instance, and that one instance was so huge that they lost out to 4-5 cars there.
Yeah, so, well, Carl getting up the trumpet, I suppose, as we get a good bit of action here in the sprint race. My word, this has been absolutely insane. But let's pull up the standings there. More importantly, though, look at those 2 DCT cars. They are alone at the front, and this is textbook right now from DCT. But cast your memories back to Spa. These guys aren't afraid to fight each other.
They absolutely are not. And one bad race here, one minor piece of contact, and the teams behind can capitalize so much. Or can they? Because their biggest rivals, Atlas BX, are so far down right now with that incident you just saw on your screen a couple of moments ago. So here, if they know that Atlas BX are so far behind, they maybe can take a few more liberties. And they will. Because this battle between both the 11 car and the 12 car, I think they've forgotten and they've stopped caring that they are teammates at the end. Now, they are so close to each other. And that final round, coming into the final round, we saw the 12 car, the DCT racing machine, be the one leading. But now, DCT E-Racing is the one leading the championship. But now, it's the DCT racing car leading the race. It's all switching around right here. Both these teams and drivers have been so intense in this fight. They've been constantly swapping positions around. But finally, when it comes to the final few rounds, these sort of races come into perspective. The ones where consistency matters the most. And I think right now, they won't be afraid to go for it. As like Team BTC.
Yeah, so this is the battle for P4. Team BTC's Jungwoo Lee. Again, trying to hold on to this position from Dongyu Kim. These guys have been fighting since basically the drop of the green flag of these two. And Lee Chung-ho Lee, waiting in the wings there in the Ulsan DR Motorsports car. He's been able to improve a handful of positions since the start of this race. So Ulsan DR Motorsports looking again for a pretty good points haul coming out of this sprint race. But and of course, you know, down here it's also the sort of drivers that will benefit the most from the reverse grid at the moment here as well. Yeah. So it's again, behind this, crucial battles going on for the likes of P8, which will give you reverse grid pole position. But Alpha P4 it is for now, and let's see if Dongyu gets the run in the E-Euro car over the Team BTC machine of Jungwoo Lee. Not going to have an opportunity into the hairpin this time around, but it's a bit of a train here for P4.
It absolutely is, and in this stage, as you rightly mentioned, they are in the prime slot for the reverse grid pole. Maybe it was a strategy all along by Jong Kyung Kim. Maybe he wanted to drop down. Nah, just kidding. Nothing like that ever happens. But it is a blessing in disguise. It could work out so well for him, because as it stands, he would be second on the grid in that second race coming up right now. More on that later on, but more on this right now. Ulsan DR Motorsport are the next car behind E-Euro. And Ulsan DR, remember, are also in a mega scrap with Atlas BX right now for the top positions. A big result here, and they could just get closer in that fight.
Yep, they could. So, again, Ulsan, like you quite rightfully mentioned it, Subo, they're really, really hot on the heels of these two cars now, and looking to try and carry on the momentum after what was a pretty good day at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Dongyu Kim for E-Euro just got a little bit wide there through the right-hander and got the car unsettled somewhat, able to keep himself sandwiched between these two cars for the moment though, but it's those little mistakes that do add up over the course of the race, and you never know when a mistake like that might trigger a pass attempt from the cars behind.
Question is, where can you pass here at Barcelona? You have to be very picky with your slots. We saw something in so many races where drivers end up making errors, at a couple of corners before, at turn number 8. But are you daring enough to make a move at turn number 9, even if the other driver is slower? That sort of judgment comes in pretty handy right here, and that only comes with experience. Well, a pretty interesting battle going on right here. They've got to watch out for the dirty air. Well, someone's got to watch out for the dirty car as well, because PSR seemingly have been through hell and beyond now.
Let's take a look, and it's not only them, it's the 91 as well, which we'll get a look at in just a couple of moments. I think this for Team PSR is a bit of a solo car problem. Yeah, oh, big slide. Oh, the car that gets collected there as well, and I think this was the 91. Yes, it was. Oh, no, it wasn't actually. Number 91 had a different problem. This is Team PSR. Gets completely dove in on, coming in towards the hairpin, and that's a damaged car trying to hold on to position, which is sketchy at best.
Well, talk about having a bad welcome in the championship. That's how Team 1 Racing have been greeted in. It wasn't on. It just never was. They should have been let go with that position, and that moving on the braking corner, isn't it? It's very clear they just were not there at that right position, and 1 Racing even left ample space for that matter. So that's a bit absurd to me. But yeah, does it matter to those at the top? It does not. The order is still the same. And I get a feeling they won't change it around. Maybe for the number 12, it's a good idea to stay back. because in the main feature race where they get the most points, they start one position higher, and it's the one critical position that they have. They don't have to pass the number 11 car. How big of a benefit has been for them, because the number 11 has been so good all the way around. Passing them can be quite the headache. It's just a matter of do you pass them now or in the next race.
Decisions. I have to wonder if there might be any team orders in effect. We didn't see any at Spa. They let them fight at Spa, but I think because of Spa now, Subil, they've probably decided, like, look, guys, just don't fight it out. Just come home P1, P2. We can't afford to have another Spa-like incident and, at worst, in this situation, lose a couple of positions. Well, and even worse, get out of the race because the damage is on for this event. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the order that they finish in. Maybe they can have a little bit of a duel here in the final couple of laps, given that they do have a 6-second gap back to Jin-Soo Kim, but I'm not really expecting anything special, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to keep it a bit quieter this time out, as you mentioned, because of Spa. Had Spa not happened, maybe this would have been the race where we ended up seeing some sort of contact between them. It's only fair. It's only fair because they're working on that same name, on that DCT Racing brand. And of course, as a brand, you don't want your cars to clash and crash together, if that's what I mean to say. But now, these guys won't bother. Euro, Ulsandia and Team BTC. Isn't this a bit fun to see Team BTC coming up in the mix for these top battles?
Yeah, we don't often see them in these positions. And oh, look at this, Dongyu Kim down the inside for Euro. Euro versus Team BTC through the middle sector here. Euro looking to the outside now for the S section up the hill. Is not a place where you can get past, but look at that, Jungwoo Lee, terrible line through the S section, and now Euro look to head their way down the inside at the kink. You don't usually see side-by-side through here. You got to be careful of the track limits as Team BTC just about keep themselves within them, and now it's still a neck-and-neck battle down into the hairpin. Ulsan DR Motorsports also looking to the inside on a closing door, and they make contact with Euro. They keep going.
Not bad though, this is the best sort of contact they can make, if anything. And now Euro, they've only got 2.5 minutes to get something back on them. The biggest losers of this fight. But speaking about not seeing Team BTC in a top position very often, I'll talk about not seeing a car so often on the outside of turn number 4. That was quite the send right there, but they've made it work, and that is all that matters. And now, immediately, they've pulled out quite the gap to Ulsandia and Euro right now. Problem is right now for them, can they get anywhere close where they want to be in this matter of time?
Oh, side by side for the race lead. They're going to fight for it between the two of them. Gyeomun Kim up into P1 at the moment, or rather trying to keep both of these cars in contention at the moment, but they're still door to door. Coming into the next right-hander here, Yunshan Kim just about ahead on the outside, but he loses that advantage to the exit of the corner as Gyeomun Kim gets it back. But now to the outside for Yunshan Kim. Fantastic dueling between the two teammates with 2 minutes to go. And through that entire sequence of battling, they lost about a second to the car behind.
But does it matter to them? Absolutely not. They've earned that privilege to go for some crazy battles. And indeed, we see a swap for the lead. So, Gyeomun Kim has made a decision. He doesn't mind taking more points in the sprint race, but he'll have to pass Youngshan again in the feature one. That is a big choice. And Youngshan in the feature race might be even more aggressive on the defending. Thing is, I think he might have pulled out a sneaky right here, because he knows the next time he goes to pass Youngshan, he cannot be that aggressive, because they'll be in the mid pack.
Yeah, they would be, and there'll be a lot of drivers in that mid pack group, which would be, oh well, we'll take the free positions if you guys decide to fight that aggressively. You got to be careful of the curves on the outside there, though, as both of them rode over the top of it. It does unsettle the car. A little bit of lap traffic ahead. This is the start of the final lap, though. For the two DCT cars, they have a 7.6 second advantage back to Jin-Soo Kim. You can even see him flashing his lights coming out of the final corner there in the background. So still on the same straight here as far as the leading grouping is concerned. But 30 seconds left to go. NJC car ahead in the bright yellow as the lapped traffic that these guys will have to deal with. But as for right now, looks like that's going to get well out of the way and not be a factor, which is what you like to see. But battle for P4 still on, or at least a train for P4.
It is a train indeed. I'm not sure if we might see any other changes right now on that very final lap. Everyone is stable, everyone is holding on to their positions quite well. But hey, look at this, Connery. Look at the car in P8. Look at the car in reverse grid pole position. It's the number 13 DCT car. And this brings out another storyline because all the time that the DCT number 13 machine has been anywhere close to the top 5, they've ended up having a terrible start. Knocking on wood, as I say this, I hope they finally get their deserved break. But this could mean 3 DCT cars at the top of the next race. Who knows?
Yeah, potentially, but this is a very tough field for those top DCT cars to work their way through on.
True.
No moves look like they're going to be made into the hairpin, though. I think this field is a little bit too strung out coming down into here, so we'll have to refocus ourselves and have a look at the front of the field, because what a sprint race it has been for DCT. 2 cars inside the top 2 positions, 1-2 finish in the sprint race for DCT. And, well, it's that car, the DCT E-Racing machine of Guillermo Kim, comes home to take the sprint race win here at Barcelona, Catalonia. Teammate in tow, Young-Chan Kim on the second step of the podium. There is Solite Indigo Racing's Jin Soo Kim with a great finish. P3 for Solite. Really good going for them. Good points haul. There's Team BTC coming across the line in P4. But there is your reverse grid pole position sitter, DCT Esports' Sang Jin Lee. You brought up their performances in main races before, so I don't need to say anything further. But let's hope this goes a little bit differently for the number 13 this time around.
Hopefully so. They've had a really bad piece of luck every single time in those top races. This is their big chance. And the competitors nearby, well, they are fierce as well. Atlas BX, the team in 3rd place. We know what they can do on a very good day, but the question is this a good day for Atlas BX? Is this a day where they can't make contact? We saw a bit of that at turn number 1 here in this race. We've only got to wait and watch and wonder now, the best part is.
Let's have a look then at the unofficial race results from the sprint race. It's Guillermo Kim and Young-Chan Kim taking the DCT 1-2 here today. 6.5 tenths of a second between the two of them. E-Racing above Racing in this instance. Solite Indigo Racing in P3 with Team BTC P4. Jinsu Kim, Jungwoo Lee respectively for those two teams. Chungjo Lee in P5 for Ulsan DR Motorsports. Again, good finish for them. Dongyu Kim P6. Jongkyum Kim for Atlas BX Esports team. Reverse grid front row for that driver that was fighting for the race lead early on. So this might play into the hands of Jung Kyum Kim, all things considered. Sang Jin Lee, reverse grid pole position from finishing in P8. You got Min Jae Kang in P9 with Jung Soo Kim, P10. And then at the very bottom end of the field, you got Stephen Cho, Jae Mo Go, Jae Bin Lin, Yun Sub Jung, Young Kwang Song, Sung Yong Kang, Sin Hong Kang, and Jae Joon, as Moo Jin Kim will be one of the only retirements in this race down in P number 19. But the stage has been set now for our feature event. 30 minutes of racing coming up here for the real-life drivers. Sang Jin Lee on pole position, but it's going to be a very, very big ask for those drivers that finished P1, P2 in the sprint race, Guillermo Kim and Young-Chan Kim, to be able to get their way through the field at a track that is notorious for its difficulty in overtaking.
100%. But we saw here that the difficulty in overtaking does not phase out many drivers. So many of them trying. So many of them recognizing that there's a certain urgency right here, that if you can get past a few people, you can gain a few big points. And yeah, for sure, Barcelona and a normal race might not give you as many points as an online or as an offline race might do. I'm sorry about that. But you've got to keep on building these good results. And that is what happens with these online races. They may not seem as rewarding on paper, but 3 good of them, 4 good races online, 5 good races online, and suddenly you see such a good points tally. That's not what's been happening with Atlas BX. Their online events have been, dare I say this, not up to the mark to what we've seen in the offline events. But DCT are the best examples of that. They've been keeping on it. They've been super consistent. And look at where they are, 1 and 2 in the championship. Except there's this big variable about not knowing which one of these DCT cars will come out on top now.
It comes down to the fact that you can't win races on paper, but you can.
Yes.
You know, they're one on track. and they're won by the drivers. So, no matter what you think about, DCT, they've always done so well, whatever. They're not infallible. They're not immortal. They can be beaten, and we might see it here in the feature race because this will be one of their toughest tasks to work their way through the field. But I've seen some miraculous drives before, and if there are some drivers that will be able to pull it off, then it will be those two that came 1-2 in the sprint race there. But we are about 2 minutes away from getting our grid set for that feature event, so not too long now before we start to see some form of answers as far as the feature race is concerned here. But I'm looking forward to the start of this feature race because of the start of the sprint race, believe it or not, because what a chaotic moment and what an amazing job, at least initially, for Atlas BX to be able to hold on up against everything, because they were going straight from attack. They were looking for the race lead down the middle of the two DCT cars into turn 1, but then it instantly turned on its head and they were just trying to keep everyone behind them. That was a great piece of offensive and then into defense driving.
I mean, we know that BMWs are wide, that's for sure. But that wide that they were able to hold off everybody, mind blown. But that is what we're going to see right now. And even E-Euro, for that matter. I liked the look of E-Euro at that start. They looked very confident. And even throughout, they might not have finished third, which is what their target was. But they had that aggression you need. And now on this stage, E-Euro start a lot higher. I think they start third on the grid in this particular race, and they've only got 2 other cars to pass. Solar Indigo, for their wonderful performance, have sort of been slapped on the wrist now because they have to start 6th. They have to start 6th in this one. And they benefited from the quietness. They were smart in picking their battles, only had to pick one, and were able to keep things calm now. Now they've got to go down again and fight hard with everybody. I think it's an exciting prospect, this one, to see how the teams that have been largely defensive in nature have to fight back, and those have been very offensive have to try and make sure that they use the width of Barcelona to their perfection.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the crucial point here. Those that are able to defend quite effectively have a huge advantage here because they can just back up everyone behind them in some form of trolley train. Because if you're able to put up that rock solid defense, here there's it's very rare that you'll even get yourself alongside, let alone get yourself through. So that's going to be the concerning thing, especially from those drivers that have caught in the bad end of the reverse grid. They might get caught in basically some slow-moving traffic trains that they can't make forward progress on, and that will mean that the likes of Sang-Jin Lee, Jonghyun Kim, Dongyu Kim can all just start to run away at the front of the field and have their own little battle there. So maybe DCT, if that situation arises, they'll get a taste of their own medicine.
Exactly. It's such a possibility. But DCT's raw pace was quite good as well. It's not like they just sort of got ahead only at the start and just benefited all the way from that. Is it good enough, though, that if something happens, can they make a comeback? Like, say, Lewis Hamilton at the British Grand Prix, or like, for that matter, Yunho Park, who we saw in the junior race, also of DCT Racing, by the way, end up making such a huge gap to the other drivers. It's good. We know it's good. Is it good enough for a major comeback? I know it's a multi-layered question because we have to assume that there might be some contact, but with reverse grid, with so many cars piled up at such a narrow circuit, you can expect some, if not a lot, at least a little bit.
Let's take a look then at the starting grid for the feature event here. Sang-Jin Lee for DCT Esports reverse grid pole position with Jonghyun Kim in P2 for Atlas BX Esports team. He had a stonking start at the very, in the sprint race. It kind of, like we've already mentioned, turned into a more of a defensive drive, though, a little bit later on in the lap, but in a pretty good position there in P2 if he's able to get a good start once again. Dongyu Kim for E-Euro, we mentioned him. He starts P3 here today with Ulsan DL Motorsports Chongwoo Lee in P4. Jungwoo Lee and Jinsu Kim for BTC and Solar Indigo Racing P5 and P6. Then you have your 1-2 finishers from the sprint race. Youngchan Kim, Gyuman Kim from DCT, line up 7th and 8th. Those that narrowly missed out on reverse grid pole position, Min Jae Kang, excuse me, I've made that mistake twice in a row now. Min Jae Kang has lined up in P9 for this one for Grit Motorsports. Jung-Soo Kim in P10 for Team PS31. Stephen Cho for Atlas BX E-Racing team in P11. P12 goes to JMO Go for PSR. Then you have a look at the bottom end of the field. Jun Sub Jong in P13 with Jung Wan Song in P14. Sung Yong Kang P15 today with Jae Bin Lee P16. Shin Hong Kang for 2 run in 17th place. NJC's Jae Joan in 18th, and Moo Jin Kim for Midas in 19th here today. So, that was pretty good timing considering the cars are already starting to roll off of their formation spots here to start this feature event. And what a feature event it possibly could be. A lot of anticipation around this one. Some drivers that got themselves a bad start, or at least a poor start in the sprint race, have been able to get themselves some good reverse grid spots here. Let's see if they are able to run away at the front of the field. Keep track of the 2 DCT racing cars deeper in the pack, though, that got the bad end of the reverse grid. Let's see how far they can work their way through the field. They have a little bit of help in the form of Sang Jin Lee in pole position, however, that might be able to back up a bit of traffic into them if the need arises. But pace car onto pit lane now, waiting for that green flag to be displayed, and then will be feature race racing at Barcelona, Catalonia in the AMX Esports Championship. Here we go, we're off and away, and it's another good start from Atlas BXE Racing Team as they go to P1, at least briefly here, but there's a couple of challenges behind. There's 3 wide almost for podium spots there, as there's the Solite Indigo Performance car trying to go around the outside, so deep around the outside, but no! Jung Kyung Kim's been spun from the race lead for Atlas BX, and it's Jin Soo Kim that comes out through unscathed, and he leads the race.
But the 13 again! What is it with the 13 car? Something with the number, I don't know. That car just does not get a start correct.
Look at this one. He started at P7, P8. Now he's knocking on the door for P2 already.
Oh, this is amazing stuff. Look at him go down the inside right now, forcing a move past. I'm not sure that is allowed, but that is aggressive racing. And E-Euro, with all the pace in the world, have to do it right from scratch. What was that? You see that?
Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. This is the situation there, down in towards turn number 1, and
come on.
Is the number 13 on the inside just spinning the car around. Let's get another little view of it as we will try and piece together exactly what has happened here in this situation. Here's the view from Sang Jin. Oh, it's just a little bit of contact. Sometimes it's just that little bit of contact that's required to send the car into a spin. I'm not sure how the stewards are going to see that. I want to see the onboard from Kyumin Kim, by the way, because he had an absolutely amazing start. Let's see what the view was from Kyumin Kim.
Oh, come on. With water recovery, this might be the best view you might see all race long. Look at him on the outside line. Watch the carnage. This has to sneak past. I think they say the best drivers make their own luck.
They do. They really, really do. Let's go back to the live racing though, because we've got a battle for P1 going on right now as Jin Soo Kim for Solite Indigo Racing has to hold on to that P1, and this is going to be a very, very big task here for Jin Soo Kim with Kyumin Kim right behind him. This is going to be a big fight, and Kyumin Kim might struggle despite his pace advantage, but he can't be. Well, Jin Soo Kim can't be affording to make mistakes like that and gift Kyumin Kim an opportunity on the way into the S's section now. DCT on the inside, Solite on the outside. It's 2x2 through the S's section here at the start of the feature race. But I think Kyumin Kim's clear as long as he can drive around the outside here at the very fast right-hander. I think he might have the momentum, and he does. Jin Soo Kim gets demoted into P2. Is there a response on the brakes, though? I don't think so, as Chung Ho Lee diving down the inside of Young Chan Lee here. Fantastic move by the Ulsan DR Motorsports car. It's still not completed, though, coming into the final sector. He slots in behind. Team BTC sticking their nose in and makes contact with Ulsan.
Come on, that does not work that way, and Ulsan Dia's worries have only been compounded because 3 other cars have forced their way past. Ulsan were defending for their life and almost got it done, by the way, until that accident happened right there. Got to feel for them, They were so good in that race so far. And the move from Kyumin, that move around the outside at turn number 9, I would not have the guts anytime to pull off a move like that on a driver that has been so quick. But Min Kim, there's confidence galore right here with him. It's tremendous.
Great bit of battling further back as well. This is the battle for P7 on circuit at the moment, and a good couple of drivers involved in this one, involving J-Mogo. In fact, you can count Bin Jae Kang involved in that one as well, as I'll cycle it. It's battle for P6, in fact, involved in this one. It's Team BSR with Grit Motorsports as well. You got Redcon and another one of the you got Ulsandia Motorsports involved in this one. This is Lee Chong Ho trying to get through on two of them. They make contact on his outside. He gets 2 free positions.
Well, it's one way of getting past, that's for sure. Just put your car in the right place and wait for others to take each other out. But seriously, that was predictable. Had to happen at least once. What's that? Grid Motorsport! Grid Motorsport has spun out right there. Ulsan Dia have lost their position in all that drama.
Let's take another look at it. We've got to look at potentially penalties here in a couple of moments as well, because a couple are under investigation. There's the contact through the first part of the middle sector. Here's what happened to Min Jae Kang though. Oh, just carried too much speed in through the S's and up over the curb, and his car did not like that.
It does not. That sausage curb. Well, it's titled the stopper for a reason. It can just absolutely obliterate your car, which is what we saw right there. I hope that nobody else does that, but we saw a lot of the drivers take that sausage curb on the left-hand side on that final corner. They don't seem to be bothered. They just want the best run possible. And right now, Ulsan seemingly does not have that.
Does not at all, but keeping themselves in contention here is Chong Go Lee. Had problems, of course, a couple of laps ago with Team BTC diving down their inside at the last chicane, but able to keep going. Well, they lost a couple of spots, but at least they didn't lose their race, and they're still in contention here, still able to potentially challenge for P6 by the end here. Remember, we still have 24 minutes of this race to go. Still a very, very long time to sort things out, and you know, also plenty of time for drivers to make mistakes as well. Remember, we still have this battle for P2 in addition to everything else that's going on. Jin-Soo Kim for Seoul Indigo Racing trying to hold on to P2 from that DCT car behind.
And it will be fun. He's already been passed by one of the DCT cars up here, and you can see the gap, you can see the pace difference. DCT eventually had to get past. It was just a matter of doing so cleanly, and who can doubt them on that aspect? But hey, focus on the championship. Even if we assume that Jin-Soo Kim will go down, which I think he can put up quite a good fight, Seoul Indigo Performance will be gaining a tremendous amount of points, and with Team BTC not having the best of races right here, they can bump their way up nearby them, and also maybe get into the same conversation perhaps as Ulsan Dia as well. It's a big one, this. If Jin-Soo Kim can hold on, this will be a mighty huge result, provided he can keep it.
Seoul Indigo Racing currently P9 in the point standings, P2 in the race as things get a little touch and go. Coming in towards turn 1 that time, as you saw that Young Chan was thinking about a move down into there, and you saw the response to it by Yinsu. But like I said, Seoul Indigo Racing P number 9, they're a single point behind Yiro. They're 2 points behind their sister car of the Seoul Indigo Performance and also Quadro Iran Racing Team. So they could potentially launch themselves up into P6 at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was my bad. I sort of got too excited and started to think of them as the Seoul Indigo Performance Team. That's
I made that mistake as well, don't worry.
Oh no, Seoul Indigo Racing are in P9th, and yes, they could get a big jump on Euro, on Quadro Rain, and the Lux. This is a big one,
Young
and
Chan.
that could be a big one for the championship.
Young Chan Lee for DCT Racing. Self-spin through the S's. Gets passed by his teammate there. Down in P8. An unforced error from the 11.
Need we say more? Oh boy.
I just got loose on entry. That rear end was always going to come round. That is a hard one to take if you're Young Chan Kim. your team, one of the top ones in the championship. It's a close championship as well, even when you factor in the battle with their sister car. And now, maybe that gap at the front of the points order has been increased somewhat. DCT Racing P2 in the standings. DCT E-Racing extending their advantage now, even more if they come home with this race win. Atlas BX Esports team, where are they at the moment? Well, kind of nowhere to be seen at the moment, unfortunately, as we have Team BTC currently in P3. So at least DCT Racing are not losing too many points at the moment to the Atlas BX cars, but that is something that he didn't need. It does make this championship a lot more tough from this point forwards now, unless they're able to recover a handful of points from this event. They got 20 minutes, so it could be possible.
I don't even know what to say. This is such a big one. I expected the error between the DCT cars to come in a crash when they're battling each other, not in a self-spin. This puts the onus back on them. This puts the pressure back on them. Wow, this could be a game changer. This really could be a game changer for the championship. Only gotta wait and watch. 20 odd minutes still left to go. It will be a major challenge as all the cars are spread out. But this will be a fun race to watch. Can they at least get back to third, if anything?
I mean, that will be the plan. It'll be a very tough ask, though, considering that after, well, if they're even able to get past Dongyu Kim here for P5, then it'll be another handful of seconds, about 3 seconds further down the road, down to Jung-Soo Kim for P4, and then you need to get past him, and you have to go chasing after Jungwoo Lee for P3 as well, so it's going to be very, very tough ask for them to do that inside of 20 minutes. But I've seen weirder things before, but I think this is a dream that's simply not going to come true. As you see Yun Chan Kim, maybe this will be the easier pass of all of them over his teammate of Sang Jin Lee here. Down in towards turn number 1 should be the option. Heading their way through down the inside. There we go. This should be a negotiated pass between the two of them, and it is. So Yun Chan Kim up into P7. That's the easiest pass he's ever going to make.
Yep, that's done. That was sort of a given that had to happen. The team had to let him go past. That was only fair because they're the ones fighting for the championship and not the 13. But this will be fun. This will be fun. Ulsan Dia have had such an upturn in performance recently, and their defending has been quite good. So, can they defend past the DCT car? If they can hold on to that position, honestly, that will be a highlight of the championship all the way through of all the events.
Yeah, it would be an absolute one to look back on after the season's done and to reminisce about. But at the moment, still a very tough ask for, well, at least DCT won't be thinking about this race too fondly, at least with one of their cars, or rather two of their cars, as the DCT E-Racing car still leads this event by about 2 seconds now over the Seoul Indigo Racing car. But Seoul Indigo Racing also have a pretty comfortable comfortable gap back to Team BTC's Jungwoo Lee as well. So everything kind of stabilizing out at the very front. It's just this mid-pack that's at least relatively close here, but I get the feeling that most drivers have set themselves into a bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, they have. They're sort of settling in for that, but you can't really say the same for Yun Chan Kim right now. He can't get into that sort of quiet rhythm. He needs more. He's got to push for more, and so he will push for more heading into turn number 1. Seemingly, he's got a very good run into the inside line now.
And Chan Kim diving down the inside of Ulsan DR Motorsports into turn 1. Ulsan trying to find the line back through on them. Able to keep them honest, though, as they head their way through that very long right-hander where the tyres scream for mercy for all intents and purposes through there in a lot of cases, but there's no way for Chung Ho Lee to be able to get himself back past. So Yun Chan Kim up another position. That's another couple of points in the bag. And now target set on Dongyu Kim ahead as in that E-Euro machine that has been doing pretty well over the course of this event.
Yeah, I think he has. Dongyu Kim has been quite superb, to be honest, in relation to what the E-Euro team have been doing so far in this season. But I wonder what if they hadn't had that incident in the first race. I wonder if they hadn't sort of been pushed out a little bit. And that would have been even better. But hey, we can't complain right now. Thing is, might just get swallowed up by all the 3 cars behind. So this might be a slightly artificial position. But then again, as I mentioned with Seoul Indigo as well, they can hold on. It'll be quite the achievement. I didn't notice this though. I didn't notice the team PS3-1 in 4th place. That is very good.
Jung-Soo Kim doing very well for Team PS3-1. They've had a good result here and there over the course of the championship, but mostly they've been sort of languishing down in the bottom end of the field. Not exactly at the very back, but the bottom end of the field, P13 in the point standings at the moment. So it's not gone great for those guys, but you know, it's if you can pick up a couple of points here and there, a couple of more points here and there than your competitors, especially in that mid-pack, then you're getting a huge advantage, because for things that... Oh, actually, hold the phone, because Jae-Bin Lee has had a problem.
Oh! Wasn't that Jung-Woo Lee right there? No, that wasn't. No, that wasn't that. Thankfully, I just got over myself for a second right there. Here's a look at the incident again. Heading into turn number 1. It always has to be turn number 1. There's a wild Sen incoming from Atlas BX, which sort of goes away, which is good. Never was on the cards. Del Ferro. Can't put it as anything else.
Yeah. You hate to see... Oh my god. That is round trousers moment, I think, for Sung Yong Kang. We'll continue with it on the replay here. Let's get his view of everything that happened, because... it was basically a case of pick a line and hope and pray.
Couldn't have been so much worse. It's sort of good that no other car has been hit by it, but Sung Yong Kang nearly got taken out right there. And as if Sung Yong Kang already didn't have a few crazy moments in the junior race. Here's one.
Yeah, there might be a bit of stewards action about that. Due to unsafe rejoin for Jae-Bin Lee there. Again, it's one of the things that has been a bit of a problem and that the stewards are trying to crack down on. This is the belt for P5 though. Dong-Gyu Kim trying to hold off the recovering Young Chan Lee as Young Chan Lee goes towards the outside, trying to sweep his way around. Not quite clear just yet. Heading to the second lead, but he should be clear unless Dong-Gyu Kim can maintain his nose on the inside there. He can't, as that is a fantastic move there from Young Chan Kim to put him back up inside the top 5.
If you've got to make a move, that is how you make a move. Make an advantage out of your raw pace and execute it at the right place. That is so well done. Quick look at the replay. Just using the draft to perfection, which is what you've got to do. No silly business at turn number 10 right there. Chose the spot, chose the line. Got a bit late, yes, but the last of the late breakers, that's the term you can use here.
Yeah, that's a great move there for Young Chan Kim. You know, basically proving everyone wrong, and the fact that you can pass here at Barcelona, Catalonia, and he's wondering why everyone else is struggling. So now he's got a bit of a break, all things considered, at least from the battling, because he now has to catch up a 2.8 second gap up to Jung-Soo Kim at the moment. There's the gap visually. Team PS3-1 there in 4th place, trying to at least keep tabs on Jung-Woo Lee's Team BTC car, but currently hasn't been able to get into a position to challenge at the moment though. So we'll have to wait and see how this develops over the course of this race. But as far as the race lead is concerned, well, there's not much of an update regarding that. And, well, the words that I do have is Human Kim still running away.
He is indeed, but a quick word on Team PS3-1. All of isn't a surprise that we see them up here in this position right now, because remember, this right here is a race of the pro drivers, and even the last time out we came at the Nürburgring, Team PS3-1 were good in that race. I think they were running somewhere close to the top 5 in that, until of course drama took over and they ended up losing their positions. That is a good sign for them. At least they've got one end of that team in a very strong position. I get a feeling it's a bit lopsided on the other sides though.
Yeah, you'd be right. You'd be absolutely right about that. But 11 minutes left to go. We are very much, well, we're getting towards the final third of the race now, if my mathematics is correct, as Jungwoo Lee continuing to hold station for now. But the thing is, Team PS31 haven't been too aggressive. They've just been sitting there in line, happy to just sort of run in their own little space at the moment there in P4. I'm just having a look back further through the order just to see if we can get ourselves a couple of potentially pretty close battles. Here's one for P number 9 at the moment between the DR Mighty car of Hyunjin Jang and Jong Kyung Kim. Recovering.
I don't think we speak about Dear Mighty much, unfortunately, on the English broadcast, because really they haven't quite been able to make their way up into good positions. But Dear Mighty, it's a newly founded esports racing team, honestly, but it was made by the Korean hip-hop band Mighty Mouth, and of course, Mighty Mouth do take turns in the influencer races. They've got two band members, Sangchu and Shori J. But here it is Yujin Jang who's taking part in this race, and I love it. Do you think more bands should follow in and making their own esports teams? And it's a good idea. I mean, we certainly love the idea of maybe a band coming in. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I mean, there's been interest from other sectors in esports. I know there's, for example, 100 Thieves, who's basically an esports team turned clothing brand. As far as like designer clothes and things like that. Designer street clothes is kind of their style. I mean, there's certainly room for stuff like that coming into this one. And I mean, I know for a fact that, for example, the footballer David Beckham has his own esports team, or at least an esports team he's associated with in the form of Guild Esports. So yeah, it's a thing. It's like a lot of celebrities in the sort of real world consciousness are really also taking themselves an interest in esports as well, to see a new, well, it's not so much a new sport because esports has been around since basically forever, 30 years at this point, but it's only been over the past, I would say, 10 years where it's really come to the forefront, and everyone's just saying, hey, this is actually something that is, really exciting and brings viewership and gets the younger demographic interested, so why not go for it?
100%, and especially with Mighty Mouth, they've been a band very famous with the previous generation of Korean people. Maybe this could be a good chance to get back to the younger ones who are watching the AMX ESPORTS Championship and trying to get them into their music. Again, I honestly like old music quite a fair bit. This is a good way to go ahead. But in terms of this championship alone, they've been there. We often end up seeing them around this slot, around P9, P10, getting some good moves in. The Team PS31 seem to be on the move now.
Yeah, they do seem to be. Of course, we have our wonderful, one of our other RaceSpotTV commentators, Linus Rustum, in the chat saying, give me a Metallica esports team any day.
Yes.
That would be pretty good to see. Although, knowing you, Linus, I'm surprised it isn't Coldplay, but we'll just have to look past that for now and have a look at this battle for P number 3 between Jungwoo Lee and Jung-Soo Kim. As you have quite rightfully mentioned, Sumo, they've gone just that little bit closer. And look in the background, though, because that is Young Chan Kim in the bright red DCT esports car, which is quickly closing these guys in. So I think if Team PS3 the ideal situation for Team PS31 is to get this pass done and quickly and try and break away, because otherwise Young Chan Kim's going to be hot on their heels immediately.
He will be indeed, and when you put the DCT cars under some sort of time pressure, I think that's when they just deliver. We've seen them be so good in the sprint races. Here, they are also quite good at not making contact while making overtakes, which is a spectacular trait that I think they can teach to a few other teams and drivers right there, unfortunately. But yes, this is going to be lovely if they can catch up. They've got the pace advantage, lapping constantly slightly faster than the others. All about executing the move now with the limited time left.
Yeah, it is. So, it's just under 7 minutes left to go. The ever-looming threat in the wing mirrors of a hard-charging DCT racing car of Young Chan Kim. Let's see if he's able to mix himself into this battle. He might even be able to get both of them done by the time the end of this race comes around. But he might even just get stuck in that little spot, a couple of tenths of a second behind, where so often at this track you can just get stuck behind slower traffic, but that hasn't seemed to be to have been a problem so far for Young Chankin. He's been able to make a good couple of overtakes here and there, so I don't see why he couldn't repeat the same sort of feat here with these two.
It'll take a fair bit though, because Team PS31 have been quite good so far. They have been able to block things off quite well, and so have been BTC in this race. Consistency is what has been something very good for them, but we haven't seen them defend a lot. I want to see that. I want to see how they can defend in a situation like this one, where a lot of points are on offer for them, but there's a faster car coming in. Can they hold their nerves?
They're dropping off the back. Oh, and they push wide. This is now Young Chan Kim licking his lips at what's on offer here, because he now has a full view of the Team PS31 car. Young Chan Kim might be able to get himself up into third place here if he's able to get both of these cars done, and what a recovery drive that would be.
Really? That would be quite something. It still wouldn't be enough for the championship. You'd still end up losing a fair few points. But for him, considering the circumstances, I think he'd be more proud of the drive he has put in right now. Navigating past the lap traffic, and I love this side. When you swing around, especially at night by the way in an endurance race, swing around the final corner, get to see the grandstands illuminated. I love it. What's going to be more fun is the move that's going to come up. Is he close enough? Not this time though.
No, not this time. But he's always an ever-present threat, and he's starting to see the mistakes set in now for Jun-Soo Kim as he's so slow through this first sector, and Young Chan Kim is just gobbling up all of that gained time. And now it's a case of when, not if, Young Chan Kim will make the move. The only if about it is if he's successful, because you can put up a decent defense here, but no one has been able to so far over that 11 car.
100%. The 11 has been a machine marching through past everyone so far in this race. After their comeback, that is. Had it not been for the crash, one wonders how hard would they have been fighting to the 12. Remember, I know it's been a long race, but you've got to flash back to that incident. It was a self-spin. It's all self-inflicted, this one. They're just fighting back and getting redemption on their own. PS31 defend quite well. They've chosen their line, which is good and consistent. Not moving under braking, which is nice. I think it's just smartness on the 11. Just realizing that there's no point in making a move here. You can go the easier way out and just maybe make a move at turn number 1.
Well, if Young Chan Kim, oh, there's a gap opening up on the inside. Some drivers do that, though, like take that corner as a double apex rather than hugging the white line all the way around. It's always a bit disconcerting, though, when you have one car hugging the white line all the way around behind a car that's taking the double apex, because you see that door open and immediately close. But now, through that final corner, Young Chan Kim, can he get the run down the pit straight required to be able to make this pass happen? It's going to be a bit of a struggle. He's slowly closing in, and now that pull becomes more pronounced on the way into turn 1. Young Chan Kim trying to swing it around the outside. He's done moves like this before, and he's successful now. Brilliant move from Young Chan Kim once again, and there's still time left on the clock to go chasing for a podium.
They have been the ones adding the spice to this sprint race. The feature race, my apologies. See, that's how exciting it has been. I don't even remember which race this is. That is the fun part right now. And Team BTC, well, they have a challenge on their hands. Can the team beat the championship if Fenfrom dreams come true? Well, that would be a dream come true for them if they can close past to the BTC car and get them in only 2.5 minutes. It's a tall order, this one, but anything can happen when these guys are behind the wheel.
Well, just to put it in perspective, even though Young Chan Kim was battling with Jun-Soo in that last lap, still a tenth and a bit faster than what Jung-Woo Lee was able to put down. But now Young Chan Kim's in a little bit of clearer air. He'll be able to reel that car in a much more comfortable fashion now. This will be, however, the start of the final lap, so that might be the saving grace for Jung-Woo Lee. We'll have to double check it, as there is Gyumin Kim. They've been doing about 1:46 in terms of lap times. They crossed the line with less than that on the clock, so this is the start of the final lap then. Not really what Young Chan Kim would have wanted to hear. He would have loved a little bit of an extra lap here to try and close in.
Can he become last lap Lando though? Can he do something like last lap Young Chan in this case and maybe just grab that podium at last? by the horns, that is, because so far he's been so good. You know what? He's actually getting closer with the draft. Maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for turn 10. Maybe.
Yeah, that's the only opportunity now because, again, the start-finish line is quite far, well, quite close to the final corner here, so you're not going to be able to get a slipstream run and try and draft your way by down the pit straight. So that's going to be the only option available to Young Chan Kim at the moment. He's going to try and absolutely make a qualifying lap out of this first sector to be able to even get close, coming up through those S's, through that right-hand kink, and then he's going to have to absolutely send it on the brakes into the hairpin if Young Chan Kim wants a podium at the moment. And I know racing drivers, they always want to get on the podium. They always just want to pass that car ahead of them, especially if there's a slight error coming through the S's section from Jungwoo Lee. That's not what he needed. Allows Young Chan Kim to close in just that little bit more. You can see how much he's pushing as well. Right out, 2 tires into the gravel. Desperation here. Team BTC defending to the inside. Young Chan Kim looking to the outside. He might be able to make this one work, but he doesn't have the momentum around the outside there to be able to do it. Team BTC live to fight for a couple corners more. They have to keep themselves ahead to secure the podium here and a whole bunch of points in the championship as well. Gyu-min Kim comes across the line to win for DCTE Racing after a dominant performance, but who comes home P3 here because it's going to be so close. It looks like Young Chan Kim's got the run out the chicane. He'll have the run through the final corner but doesn't have the legs as Team BTC hold on for a podium.
Have Team BTC beaten the champions later on this season? That will be a fun factor. But right now, they've beaten the team on the way to the title. That was some hard defending, some nerves right there by Jungwoo Lee, and a well-deserved podium. That right there has to be one of the performances of the season, along with Gyu-min at the very top. The whole story, while we might see some new fresh performers in this one, we still have some battles everywhere, including this one for P number 12.
Jae-bin Lee able to hold on to the position though for 12 over Sung Young Kang. Going across the line now. What a crazy event that we've had. Some great action up and down the field, chaotic starts, fantastic finishes, close finishes for a couple of positions. There's Min Jae Kang heading their way across the line now as the final runner on the leading lap here. Oh my word, we need to take a little bit of a breath here as the celebrations will get started. What a performance though for P2. We didn't talk about him all that much, at least in the back end of the race, but for Seoul Indigo Racing, that is a huge result. P2 in the feature. I gotta tip my hat to them.
They've been stunning. They really have been stunning so far. Seoul Indigo have capitalized on every opportunity that has come their way. Be it in the feature race, be it in the sprint race. Give them a chance and they will take it. And that's not the Seoul Indigo performance car, by the way. This is Seoul Indigo Racing Team. 9th in the championship, as you mentioned early on, Connery. This is such a big confidence booster, and it's all the way on merit. That's the best part.
Yeah, it really is. It's great to see these guys and doing their cool down lap as well, congratulating each other, trying to get the door rubs and the bumper rubs going on just to say good racing. But in the end, of course, there is only one winner, and that winner is Gyu-min Kim from DCTE Racing. They extend their advantage in quite a large way here at the end of the feature event. Seoul Indigo Racing, we pointed them out just now, P2 in the feature today, who gives them a very good boost in their mid-pack points battle with a couple of other teams. Same with Team BTC as well. They came home P3 after a fantastic fight with DCT Racing's Young Chan Kim at the very end there. Team PS31, they have nothing to complain about really at all either, as they come home P5 with a decent finish. E-Euro in P6. Ulsandia Motorsports P7. Could have been a little bit more for them if they didn't get themselves involved in an incident with Team BTC a little bit earlier on in the race. DCT Esports number 13. Again, it seems it's an unlucky number in Western culture. It might as well be an unlucky number in Eastern culture as well, with the way Sang-Jin Lee has been caught in incidents here and there over the course of the entire season. Yun Sub-jong in P number 9 for Quadriga Racing Team. Jae-bin Lee comes home P10 for Redcon Motorsports. Then Sung Young Kang for Seoul Indigo Performance, P11 with Midas Racing, P12. That's a decent finish considering for Midas Racing. Usually they're languishing in the final couple of positions, but P12 is not too bad for them. DR Mighty in P13, Grit Motorsports. We saw the incident with them a good couple of laps before the end of the race. They're down in P14. Atlas BX Esports Team, what could have been 2 races in a row for Jong Kyum Kim, where he has had issues. And, well, it's P15 in the feature, but that's a huge boatload of points missing from the tally of Atlas BX Esports Team at the end of this one. Jay Joan, in P16 for NJC, JMO Go P17 for PSR, then those drivers that retired. Young Kwang Song's first race for his team, and his team's first race in the real life driver category, down in P18. Atlas BXE Racing Team, Stephen Cho, P19, dead last here in this one. Those are the unofficial results. Of course, they are subject to change due to stewards' post-race penalties and things like that. But we always get treated to something in these races, don't we?
We do. This one was just some recovery drive and some hard defending all the way through. And even at the start, seriously, we just got lucky that we didn't see any major accidents. Yeah, for sure, some drivers got pushed out wide, but was it the big one that we often end up calling? No, it wasn't. It was good. It was clean racing most times. And that midfield battle, when we saw Seoul Indigo, when we saw E-Euro, when we saw, I think, a couple of other teams as well right there. It's just got off the top of my head right now. Amazing battling everywhere. Just the pressure of the competition you could see right there. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. There was no car moment because, I mean, you can't call it artificially, by the way. But when the DCT car got hit around, when they did have that spin later on, their comeback raised an intrigue. And you might say, yeah, there was, 10 minutes of time where we had no taking? 10 minutes? Is that it? Is that all it takes you to make you bored? Really? And there was an intrigue about where they would finish. And that was amazing.
Yeah, and don't forget about the hard-charging Young Chan Kim as well. Just about missing out on P3. I think if he had that extra lap, it would have been a full-blown conclusion. But
who knows?
Jung-Woo Lee just kind of holding on just about enough to be able to grab that P3 at the end there, which is a great drive, all things considered. But again, this sort of changes the complexion of the championship a little bit now. DCT Racing do have a decent buffer now, at least from the mental math that I'm doing in my head. Of course, we'll have to see what the official order is after this one, but they're looking pretty good now. But, however, next up is one of the offline events. At least that's the current plan. Of course, some of you may or may not know that the pandemic situation in Korea has gotten quite a bit worse over the past couple of weeks, so there's still a little bit of doubt as to whether we can run a live event. But of course, we will keep you posted with regards to that. But either way, the format's not going to change if we have to do it online. Yes. So it's there might be a different process as far as driver changes are concerned, but yeah, it's something I'm certainly very, very excited for. And again, for a lot of these teams, these are going to be the most nervous races because in 100%. Some instances, especially in the 3-driver race, you're handing the car over to your influencer, and it can be very hit and miss whether or not you'll bring that car home.
Exactly that. And it sort of brings me to the question I have in mind. Did Team Beat the Championship, Team BTC, sort of stay ahead of the champions or the co-champions? This might be influenced a lot in that next round. But the second point I have to bring forward, Atlas BX, they were stunning. Stunning is the best word to use in this case. They were stunning in the last offline event, ended up taking the win at the Indianapolis round, were quite good in the Long Beach race as well. Now comes a fun part. They have been given plenty of opportunities in every single race, be it the influencer one that we had at Charlotte, be it the sim driver one that we had early on. What circuit was that one? So that was on Laguna Seca, of course. They've had the chances, but they've not capitalized on one of them, Conrad. Even today, dare I say this, they blew it. They had a very good position, and in both races, they couldn't convert it. So, do they sort of head into the offline events where they were so good with low confidence? And if they do enter that with low confidence, they could genuinely now be under threat from so many other teams behind them. Team BTC and Ulsan DR firstly.
Yeah, it's a very sketchy situation for them to be in. Of course, it's not something that they've intentionally done. It's just mistakes here and there that have put themselves in that position. And sometimes you have to deal with that as the championship goes on. Sometimes things just don't go your way, and you're put in uncomfortable positions. And the drivers that are the best drivers, I get the feeling, in the championship, are those that are able to not be phased by those problems and are able to keep their heads down and continue pushing and trying to get every single position possible. You can't afford to just get all down about it and just say, oh, the championship's gone now, but whatever, there's no point in even trying, because mathematically you're still in it. You never know what might happen, and if you take the foot off the gas now and an opportunity arises a little bit later on in the season, you have a bit more of a gap to catch up in the end. So you really have to go 100% all the time.
Which is why I loved Youngchan's drive even more. He realized the urgency. He knew that there's no point of slacking off. If he wants to win the championship, which of course they do want to, you've got to go all out every single lap, and that was tremendous. Different matter he didn't get P3, but we can credit him for his efforts. But you've got to roll back to the same point. It was a self-inflicted error. No doubts about that at all. That might be one thing that haunts the DCT team a little bit tonight. I think they'll be quite happy with the way they drove otherwise.
Yeah, I think they will as well. Again, it's just these slight little problems that they have to iron out. It was unforced error this time around that put the DCT racing car just sort of out of contention, and a similar situation for the 13 as well, their other sister car. So it's a couple of problems to work on. This is why I said at the start of the race broadcast that they're not invincible. They do make mistakes, but it seems like the e-racing car makes the least mistakes.
Exactly. They've been tremendous. They've not had any drama so far, which is good for them. Only once, Spa, that was still okay. I wonder what else are we in store for? I wonder what else can we see so far this season. Now, offline is next. It brings the most degree of volatility, especially that 3-driver event. When we usually have it at Noel. I think we're going to have it the next time as well. How mad will that be? And that is a race where you get the most points, 35 for the winner to be precise. It could be a game changer. Now, imagine if DCT Racing win that one. Where does that put the championship order? I love it. I love the volatility.
So there's the schedule.
There it is.
For the offline events, we have the 2-driver race at Montreal, which is going to be interesting considering it's a street circuit and there's not a lot of runoff, so there could be potential problems there. Then we have a 3-driver team race at Hockenheim. So this is the first time that we'll get to see possibly the influencers take to the track in a road course race. So that is going to be again a different kettle of fish that the drivers haven't quite been used to. Then we have our leader race at Kota, which is honestly one of my top tracks actually. Kota. It's a very, very competent circuit. I know it takes sort of the best parts of every track around the world. You can see the similarities in a lot of cases. Istanbul's sort of Istanbul type triple right instead of a triple left at the end of the lap, and of course Silverstone's Maggots and Beckett's at the very start of the lap. But still, it's a fantastic circuit, and I can't wait to go there because that middle sector in particular promotes some crazy side-by-side action.
Oh, it does. It might be slow speed side-by-side action, but it is tremendously fun side-by-side action. And with any car, they've shown that they can do it with Indy cars. So what is a GT3 car then in that case? It'll be a GTE car, I mean to say. Yeah, it'll be tremendous. I think it'll be a long time since we've actually seen any GTE racing on iRacing at Kota, because I don't remember any of the big championships coming there with these machines. So it'll be fun all the way through. Again, could be a draft fest down the backstretch as well. That could be one aspect. But the competence will be tested. That is the best thing you pointed out right there. The opening sector. Super hard. Just hitting your apexes cleanly is some challenge right there at Circuit of the Americas. I can't do it, but there's a reason why I'm here, and that's why they're there. But avoiding contact there too, Conway, could be pretty intense, because we know that at times certain drivers can get over themselves and try moves at places where they may not work out. At Kota, the corners cut out sharply. Can't do that.
Well, that's about all that we'll have time for here today in the AMX Esports Championship. We had another fantastic couple of events here, and the Junior Cup gave us a decent amount of excitement, but it was the AMX Esports Championship proper with the real-life drivers that really stole the show. DCT Esports with the double here today. They carry a heavy points advantage into the next stage of competition, the second offline event coming up in in about a week's time. But we'll have to see if anything changes then over the course of that event. A lot of points on offer for an offline event, so their lead perhaps not as secure as at first appearance. But with that, we'll have to thank everyone for watching, and well, join us same time, same place next week for the offline event number 2. Goodbye.